Meeting this evening. We'll start with a brief roll call, and I'll do a couple of introductions, and then I'll kind of explain the order of the evening, and we'll get started. Mr. Campos.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer with the Board of Public Works. Just a simple roll call. Kevin James, President, is here. Heather Repenning is here.
We have representatives from all of our 5 bureaus, as well as the Office of Community Beautification. The representatives that we have are our executive, the general managers, executive officers, or general managers from each of the departments. I'll start with Enrique Zaldivar from the Bureau of Sanitation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Enrique Zaldivar, the General Manager of LA Sanitation.
Keith Mose from Street Services. Keith.
Good morning, Keith. Good afternoon. Keith Mose, Executive Officer, Bureau of Street Services.
John Reamer, our Inspector of Public Works.
Good evening, John Reamer, Inspector of Public Works, the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Our City Engineer.
Good evening, Gary Lee Morris, City Engineer for the Bureau of Engineering.
Ed.
Good evening, Eddie Brahimian, General Manager of Bureau of Street Lighting.
Our City Attorney.
Good evening, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
And Fernando Campos, our Executive Officer. Also, I see Paul Roch, who is our Executive Director of our Office of Community Beautification, who is going to be making a presentation in a few moments. And I also see our Fire Commissioner, Jimmy Woods Gray, here. Jimmy, welcome. Stand up. Say hello to everyone. And just before we get started with our first speaker, who will be our council member from Council District 8, they're just some of the ground rules of the order of what we're going to do during tonight's town hall. I had called earlier for speaker cards. Anyone that would like to speak during our public comment period, please turn in one of the speaker cards that Mr. Campos is holding up. I believe we have a number of speaker cards still on the table in the back, at the back of the room. Before we get to the items that are listed on the agenda, anyone that turns in the speaker card will have an opportunity to speak on any of our public works items or on any of the items that are listed on the agenda this evening. We will be covering graffiti abatement and community beautification services from the Office of Community Beautification. There will be an overview of our street services and the Bureau of Street Services. We'll be talking about street lighting improvements and technology. Also, our Clean Streets Initiative will be a focus of one of our presentations this evening. Our Waste Hauler Franchise Program and Waste Pickup. The Sidewalk Repair Program. We will have an update on the city's new sidewalk repair program and policies. We'll also discuss our project labor agreements that govern much of the work that's done in the city of Los Angeles. And we'll have a report on contracting and our Small Business Academy opportunities for people to have the opportunity to work in the city of Los Angeles. So we will have really a cross-section of topics that touch all 5 of our bureaus and our Office of Community Beautification. On any of the agenda items, when we complete the agenda item, if you have a question regarding those agenda items, we'll have an opportunity to have a brief Q&A on each of the agenda items. We can do that in a town hall format, which is what we wanted to do tonight. It's not something we can do in one of our regular meetings to have that kind of exchange with the community, but it's much more beneficial with all of you that spent your time to come here this evening, which we so appreciate, to be able to have a brief back and forth on each of the agenda items for people that have questions. So with that, let's get started with our councilman from Council District 8, Marquise Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, commissioners, and welcome all of you and everybody in the audience to the 8th District and our jewel, Crenshaw High School. We have a beautiful campus here, surrounded by beautiful neighborhoods, full of beautiful people. I just, again, wanted to make sure I made it to the meeting to thank you all for being here in South Los Angeles. I know most of you are not strangers here. In our short time on the council, I think we brought all of you to the district to show you one thing or the other, whether it's the street lights that we want to get on Crenshaw, the great sanitation work. Enrique, you were here for our 100-day event, and you brought the mascots, but more importantly, you brought an urgency to our district. And in the first 3 months of us being in office, sanitation was able to blow our socks off, at least in the council office. There's still more to do, but it's a big deal, and I think they deserve a round of applause. We removed 1,000 tons of trash from alleys in the 8th District in our first 3 months, and that was the Department of Sanitation. It's a very big deal. A lot of the workers were here, and certainly the Bureau of Engineering has helped us fast track some key projects that you'll hear about more. This, commissioners, is very typical for neighborhood meetings in South LA. Lots of different organizations and lots of different groups. I know we have a Sixth Avenue folks here. We have the West Park Terrace Block Club here. We have the Hyde Park Neighborhood Group. We have Hope. We have Southeast Empowerment Congress, Park Mesa Heights. We have Community Coalition, Scope. We have the Baldwin Hills Estates. We've got a library commissioner and just a host of folks here today that you'll hear from when it's time for the public to be able to speak to all of you. I want to end by saying how excited I was yesterday to get a briefing on the city's Clean Stat program. So folks may know that we have a program in this city called CompStat, where the police department can get data on a computer. They can look at it and see, kind of like you look at on Yelp, you can see where the nice restaurants are, the restaurants that you don't want to go to are, and then you can, make sure you go there and avoid the places that aren't so good. So what CompStat does, it does that for crime, right? So it looks at where the hot spots are and when the hot spots are, what day of the week, what time of day, where, and it tries to put police resources there. And so finally, we're getting that in the city services department. So they actually have, and they can explain this much better than me, they actually have had every block of every street, it's some 22,000 miles, in the city of Los Angeles. They've driven down those streets with a camera, and they've got pictures of them. And then they grade the streets, and so they tell you this street's a 1 or 2 or 3. And then they get a database, and they get to say, here are all the 3s, so we're going to direct resources to make sure we can move the 3s up to a 2. And then we can move the 2s up to a 1. And so that's very, very exciting. I think it provides a great hope for our community and a great hope for the city, because the goal is we can't keep coming back to you for more and more taxes. Is that right? See, I'm learning the politician thing good, right? So we can't keep coming back to you for more and more taxes and asking for more services. Part of what we have to do is use our resources more wisely, and CleanStat gives us the opportunity to do this in an expeditious way. We also, a component of this is also jobs. That's why the project labor agreements are very, very important. We have a sidewalk program that's going to roll out. We want to make sure we use this as an opportunity to hire our folks, right? Because if they learn how now at 18 or 20 or 25 to do sidewalks, right? They can work for the rest of their lives, because the sidewalks are going to keep breaking, unfortunately. They haven't invented a sidewalk yet that doesn't break. So folks will be able to work all over, not just to make our city and our neighborhood beautiful, but all over the state and country and world. And so, again, we thank you for being here. I want to recognize our own commissioner who just made it in, fresh in his bow tie, Commissioner Mike Davis. Let's give him a big round of applause. And folks, so you have the Board of Public Works here. You have all the departments here. You've got at least a half dozen people from Council District 8 here. You got somebody from the mayor's office here. So we ought to be able to get some work done tonight. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being serious about having the kind of community that we all deserve. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Also, ladies and gentlemen, from our mayor's office, we have our deputy mayor, who reports, of course, directly to the mayor, our deputy mayor in charge of city services. So this is the division of the mayor's office that oversees all of the city's services, of which Public Works is a significant part of, but by no means all of. Also, I'm very pleased to have our Deputy Mayor, Barbara Romero, here. She is a former member of our Board of Public Works. She went from the Board of Public Works to the Deputy Mayor's office. So, Deputy Mayor Romero, welcome.
Thank you. On behalf of the mayor, I just want to say thank you to all of you who are here. It speaks volumes of you coming to hear about what the city is doing for you in your neighborhood. It's also, not only is it an opportunity for you to hear about what the departments in the city of Los Angeles is doing for you, but also it's an opportunity for you to tell us what you need from us. Most importantly is that's why, and I wanted to be here personally to tell you that we are here for you. And the mayor has really emphasized a back to basics agenda. And really what that means to people like me, to the Board of Public Works Commissioners and the staff who's here from all the departments, is how do we improve the services that you get to experience on a daily basis. And really that's what we want to change, is not only how do we become more efficient, how do we provide better service for you, but how do you feel that the city is they're doing and how can we do it differently? And I think the council member alluded to a couple initiatives that we're doing here and that we want to really use our metrics to really get a good sense of how we're delivering the services. So I just wanted to personally be here to hear from you guys how we can be a better service. And I'm just going to say something in Spanish. Nomás quería decir gracias por todo vinieron aquí a participar, porque es muy importante no nomás de venir a participar y entender los servicios que aquí tenemos en la ciudad, pero también queremos oír cómo les podemos ayudar mejor. El alcalde, el señor Garcetti, está hablando de la agenda de los servicios básicos, es lo más importante en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Y lo que para mí, encargada de esos servicios, lo que dice es cómo podemos proveer los servicios que ustedes agarran directamente día a día, y queremos trabajar con ustedes para proveer la calidad de sus vidas, y aquí estamos para su servicio. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Romero. We would like to have some introductory remarks from our Commissioner, Mike Davis. The Board of Public Works, in addition to the five bureaus, the five of us have our specific council districts to which we are the liaison representative for. And Commissioner Mike Davis has council districts 8, 9, 10, and the south side or the north side of 15 in Watts. So, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you very much. Good evening. It is an honor for me to be here today with our colleagues from the city of Los Angeles, but particularly it's a thrill for us to be here with Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson, who not only is the youngest councilman, but he is the one who really believes in activism and getting things done. So I'm excited about the opportunity to work with him in new ways in terms of how we can plan to increase service delivery. Certainly that is the goal of Mayor Eric Garcetti, and today we will be talking about some of the funding that he has put in place that should be downloaded or accessed in our community to help it look better in terms of the services that Public Works provides to you. So again, thank you so very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Repenning, regarding some mayor's office representatives we have in the room.
Sure. Sorry. I also wanted to just take a minute to introduce Gabrielle Horton, who is also in the mayor's office. She's with his mayor's office of public engagement. She is the South LA area rep. She works very hard. If you don't already know her, you should definitely take the time to get to know her tonight. Thanks for being here, Gabby.
Thank you, Gabby. So we have several cards here. So the standard time we have in City Hall for speakers is 2 minutes, and we have a number of presentations. So to get through all of it, that will be the time that we'll have tonight. So let's start with, I do my best, and not always succeeding, but do my best regarding the order in which they have come, although some of them have come in a little later. But we'll start with Kenneth Brooks. Mr. Brooks?
Oh, that's fine. No, that's fine. You can leave it. Do it. Just raise it up just a little bit more. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, like you said, my name is Kenneth Brooks. I was born and raised in South LA, also a Crenshaw High School alumni. As a youth, I was part of a youth academy at the Community Coalition. There I learned that I can make a difference in our community when we get together and speak up. So today, I'm getting to... Today, I'm getting together with all these residents to demand the respect that we deserve. The largest minority in America are disabled people. There are many like myself who reside in South LA. It's not just the disabled, but everybody is being affected by our neglected streets. Just like the many potholes mess up our cars, it's the same way broken sidewalks mess up my scooter. The cracks, holes, tree branches lifting up the uneven pavement, and the lack of ramps, even at bus stops or even corners, cause major wear and tear on my scooter. I've had to replace my scooter already. I keep replacing the battery frequently because it keeps messing up to the point that I've been told that it's not normal by the repair service guy. I have traveled all the way to Pacoima for all the maintenance on my scooter. Having to get home late at night with the lack of lights in our streets makes me feel irritated, frustrated, annoyed, and neglected. It is not financially feasible to keep repairing my scooter, and it has taken a toll on even my body. I literally feel all the bumps, and it's causing physical pain. I'm asking all of you today to listen to our pleas and at times the literal pain that we've gone through for way too long as residents of South LA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Gustavo Trujillo?
Good evening,
Good evening.
commissioners, executives, and everyone who is present. My name is Gustavo Trujillo, and I've lived in South LA for more than 20 years. I thank you for holding this meeting. City services are important issues for residents of South Los Angeles. Growing up in South LA conditions you to accept broken sidewalks, potholes, lack of street lighting, couches, mattresses strewn every few yards. Have you seen these issues in South LA? Would you accept these conditions in your area or neighborhood? I don't accept these conditions. We've organized ourselves, held monthly community meetings, and held walking tours to file 311 reports of the most urgent issues. As our commissioners, who are responsible for ensuring that South LA gets its fair share of equitable city services, I ask that you come and tour our neighborhoods with us. We, the residents of South LA, need you to come and experience what we experience daily. I and the rest of Community Coalition invite you to come on a tour with us and see the issues firsthand. Can we count on you to join us, commissioners?
Thank you, sir.
Is that a yes
Thank
or
you.
no?
Yes.
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 Yes. Joyce Van Troy?
Greetings, commissioners,
Good evening.
and to all that are present. this evening. I have lived in this community for more than 40 years. I raised my kids here. I volunteer here. And my place of worship is in this community. I am vested, and I'm concerned about the appearance of where I live. For the past year, residents all across South Los Angeles have come together, we've worked together, and we have identified the top issues that are of urgent importance to us. These include trash pickup and removing illegal dumped items, pothole repair, graffiti removal, and weekly street sweeping. On March 19th, over 150 residents came together to show that South Los Angeles residents do care and want to see change in our neighborhood. In just 2 hours, we filed nearly 900 311 reports. We're doing our part, and now we invite you to join us and take action. In addition to joining us on a tour to see what we live with, we're asking that after your visit, you come back to us in 30 days with your plan to resolve these issues. We ask you to bring the general managers of Bureau of Street Services and Bureau of Sanitations with you. So we thank you for taking time to meet with our
2 minutes.
communities this evening. We look forward to learning how we can work with you to address these concerns in our neighborhoods. Can we count on your commitment to working with us and returning, commissioners?
Yes, of course. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Joseph Duvall.
Good evening, commissioners, Councilman Harris Dawson, and the other officials. My name is Joseph Duvall with Community Coalition. And I just wanted to mention that the residents in South LA lead their lives here just like folks in other parts of the city. But the conditions that they're forced to live with are not like what other parts of the city experience. So you've heard the problem: trash, graffiti, etc. Not one of the areas in South LA, not one of the communities in South LA didn't have service requests that were under 30 days. So all of our areas were experiencing long, long waits for services. Residents here are not second-class citizens and are deserving of first-class treatment. So as the city is renovating its delivery services, South LA really should serve as the barometer for success. If we do right, and if we do right by South LA, it's a safe bet that the rest of the city is going to do okay. We need delivery systems that prioritize need, and areas where there has been chronic neglect, all efforts should be made to eradicate those problems. We invite you to tour with us, tour South LA with us, and to return within 30 days to report on your progress for improving the worst streets and bringing them up to par so that they've improved to 1s and 2s and above. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sharon Watson. And after Ms. Watson, we have Edmund Watson. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening to the commissioners, to our council member, Marquise Dawson, and to everyone that's here today. We had a town hall meeting with our councilman on the 12th of March, and we were talking about the improvements that we would like to see in our community. One of the things was the corridor, the western corridor, where we don't have any street sweeping. There's never street sweeping on that street. Cars are constantly parked there, so no one ever comes through for street cleaning. We would like to see signs posted so that our streets can be clean, so that we can have economic development, so services can come into our area, markets would want to come in, and other services come into our area that we're not getting right now because of the blight conditions that we live in. So we're asking the commission to address those issues, to please give us signs, so that our streets can be clean. Along, me and my husband, we drove from Century to 42nd Street. There was not one sign for street cleaning along that corridor. So the trash that's on the street gets blown onto the sidewalk and it sits there. And people come through and they see our area and they don't like the way our area looks, and we don't like the way our area looks. So I would ask too, if you could meet back with us in 30 days, and we would like to see those signs posted so we can get that street cleaning done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Mr. Watson? And after Mr. Watson, we'll have Terrence Marsh.
Good afternoon, Councilman, Commissioners. Good afternoon, Mike, and Councilman Harris, Marquise Harris Dawson. I have lived in the 8th District over 34 years, and I'm going to piggyback on what my wife said. We should not be down here talking to you about a street like Western Avenue that hasn't been cleaned probably in 10 years. There are cars that park on the street, and in our neighborhood, things happen where it's hidden in plain sight. We drove, like my wife said, from Century to 42nd. There are no street moving signs that says parked cars should be moved between 8 and 10, 9 and 10, or whatever. These cars have sat on Western I don't know how long. Trash is 6 inches deep. I mean, that's a shame. And then on top of that, the city street sweepers who are supposed to clean the residential streets. I have called numerous times, and each time I call, a supervisor is supposed to call me back. That's been 5 times in 8 months. I've never got a call. My wife called 3 or 4 times and never got a call. And then 311 is dropping calls. And I don't care what anyone says, they are dropping calls. That's why in Council District 8, they say, well, we put in the less complaints. It's because a lot of those calls are being dropped. So I would like for someone to at least drive down Western, look at Western, and see what you, like the gentleman said before, would any of you in here allow this to happen in your neighborhood? I mean, it's a terrible thing. We all pay taxes. We're not asking for any more than anyone else gets. And I want to thank you. But one last thing I want to say, I want to thank you also that I did put in a request on the computer at lacity.org. They put a street light up behind my house in the alley, and they painted the graffiti on my wall. So I'll blast you about the things you're not doing, but I will thank you for what you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Terrence Marsh, and then after Mr. Marsh, Vernita Johnson.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir.
Gentlemen, ladies. Listen, appreciate you guys all being here and taking the time to come out, and I just want to say good afternoon. But I do want to, I'm addressing the public as well as the commissioners, because I think the public has a responsibility. We have a responsibility to help and be helpful. We have a responsibility as a public to ensure that we don't litter, and that we're advocates against littering. I grew up in California. California was once known as being one of the most beautiful and well-kept states. And so throwing a bunch of money, or attempting to throw a bunch of money at a problem that we ultimately have the responsibility to fix. So what I would like to suggest is that we as public citizens, that we teach our kids not to litter. We go out and we try to fix the problems in our own communities, in our own neighborhoods, because then when we have outsiders, then all of a sudden, they're taking over, that type of thing. And so we all have to come as a community and try to fix a problem that we ultimately have an invested interest in. So again, I would leave it at that and just say that we have some pride as Californians. We don't allow, and we teach and we help one another. And then also find those people who do litter out of their car. Make it a strategic point to
2 minutes.
do something about the problem. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Vernita Johnson, and after Ms. Johnson, Dorothy Napoleon. Good morning. I'm sorry. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm happy to have this privilege to meet with these officials. And I've been living in the Hyde Park community for almost 50 years. I live on 59th Street at the corner of 6th Avenue. And there was at one time 4 trees on the 59th Street side, and then there's one on the end at 6th Avenue on the east side of my address. But back in 1998, I had called, I had been writing, and I took pictures and sent to the council person, and this tree had buckled out into the curbside, and then on the sidewalk it had buckled up so high you could go up like a mountain. But anyway, the city stated that they didn't have money to do that project, and it was put on the homeowners as the homeowner's responsibility to do that. And they gave me a permit to do the tree, to remove the tree, but I was out of a lot of money. I had to do the curbside as well as the sidewalk, and my insurance was cut off. I had to get another insurance. I had to have that repaired and then send that back in order to have insurance on my home. But it's been a problem of getting proper attention to when I call regarding this. It's like an up and down area down at the drain area, which is at the 6th Avenue side. And the street sweeper does not come there; he goes around it. And if there are leaves, I try to get their leaves from the curbside, but I'm not going to sweep up out in the street. But the street sweeper does not leave the sweeper roller down. He picks it up and all the leaves
2 minutes.
all the way down to 8th Avenue. But anyway, I thank you for this opportunity, but I would like to have some of the officials to come to this address to see what I'm talking about when I try to tell the 311 personnel about these issues. So I'd appreciate that, and thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Dorothy Napoleon, and after Ms. Napoleon, Larry Norris. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dorothy Napoleon, and I live at 9816 South Van Ness. And my comments tonight is on, I want to know, I've been working on trying to get a V-drain put in an alley in the back of my home, because it's so bad back there when it rains. The water just settles in one area. I have reported it. I've been working on it for a number of years, and they always tell me they don't have any money. So my question is, how, or do they have money calculated for fixing alleys in South Los Angeles?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Larry Norris, and then Rosie Brown. Fernando?
Good evening. I usually don't come to these meetings. Like a lot of people, I procrastinate. But I felt that I had to come down to this meeting because I'm getting sick and tired of seeing what's going on in the neighborhoods. My parents moved here in 1957. We've been living here over 60 years. When I was a kid, this whole area was white. The services were great. The lawns looked great. They didn't even have Crenshaw High School here. When I went into the military. I've served my country for 4 years, come back, and it's the same old thing. The palm trees. I got relatives that live in different areas that come to visit us, and they said, God, it looks like a war zone you're living in. They don't trim these trees. My mother passed last year. She has a letter from the city. This was in 2006. That said every 9 years they will go ahead and trim these trees. They haven't done it yet. We keep getting skipped over. And when I look up on Angela Vista, which they say is the county, I'm saying they get theirs trimmed. Oh, it's the county, until a worker told me the city of Los Angeles laid off all their tree trimmers, all of them. But the county had the foresight not to lay them off. They have tree trimmers that trim them 365 days of the year. We got a war zone. Just recently, when we had that flash of water flood, there were so many palm trees, they were blocking the drain. The whole street, 10th Avenue was flooded. Cars looked like a tornado had just come through or something like that. I cannot believe, for lack of funds or otherwise, they cannot trim these palm trees. And what's even worse, they don't even pick them up now. The neighborhoods, you all know this, we stack them and they don't even come and pick them up. And when I called sanitation, they tell me this stuff about, oh, we're asking the people in the community to chop them up and put them in their cans now. And we'll only come and pick them up if you call for like a special pickup like you do at mattresses and things like that.
2 minutes.
They'll come up and pick them up. And I saw that exact same thing. Here comes a truck. They went to a lady's house, just picked up hers with all the street littered with palm trees, and they kept on going. They kept on going. I mean, what do we get? I mean, come on now. The services get worse and worse and worse, and when it comes to the street sweeper, I'm retired now. So I'm at home and I'm saying, damn, the street sweeper should have come by now. The next week I talked to the guy, why didn't you come last week? Oh, we're doing rotating shifts where we skip different. Now they're skipping neighborhoods? I mean, how bad do we have to have the services get? And I don't care what all you politicians say, I think it's because the neighborhood is no longer all white anymore. So we don't have to spend the attention to these people anymore. I got on the phone and tried to communicate to Mr. Dawson. I tried to communicate with the city of, Public Works. And all I get is these runarounds on the phone. Oh, they're here, not here right now. Can you call back later or we'll have them call you, and I don't get a word. So I got mad one time and I said, I'm gonna stay on hold. I'm gonna watch TV and stay on hold. So I finally got somebody to talk to me. And what? Oh, they're not in. I said, they're never in, but they're probably collecting six-figure salaries and they don't have no money to do the regular, keep our neighborhoods looking good. My 2 minutes is probably up, but if I was to stay up here and tell you all the things that's wrong with this neighborhood in 60 years, you'd go crazy. It's just going downhill.
Thank you, sir. Rosie Brown, and after Rosie Brown, we have Beretta Everhart. Ms. Brown.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosie Brown. I serve on a neighborhood council, UNNC. Just a couple of things. I thank you for the free 311 app, but unfortunately I have to use it more than often. We need to know, what can we do about getting the people to know about illegal dumping? What do you do to get out to the residents? How do they know? I know there's a flyer out there, but how do you get into the hands of the people? They have no idea that it's free, and therefore they put it on the front of the lawn thinking, okay, somebody else is going to pick it up. We need to let the residents know that there is a way to get it picked up. Also, some signs, the entrance of alleys, to say illegal dumping. And also make the property owners and the manager owners accountable. If you get a 311 to the same address every single week, there's a problem. That means you need to contact the property owner, the property manager, and say, your tenants need to know that there is a way to do this and this and this, and if they're not doing it, you need to call. They need to be held accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Beretta Everhart, and then Margaret Peters.
Councilmen, commissioners, general managers, city attorney, executive officer, and Deputy Romero. Thank you for coming out to my community, the great 8th District. I want to thank you for your leadership in making the livability of City of LA better. You have a long ways to go, but you've made great progress recently, and I want to say thank you, and special thank you to sanitation for your job in making our city a bit cleaner. I hope that you as general managers will take the opportunity, when you have the opportunity to hire people, to look to hiring people from the 8th District. This district suffers from a high unemployment rate, and we do need your help, because city jobs are great jobs. City jobs are career opportunities. City jobs help make you more accountable as residents. I also hope that you will take an opportunity when you're contracting with the large companies, because the city has big contracts, that you'll make them outreach to small and minority and women-owned businesses and increase those dollars spent, because that also helps our communities here in the south of Los Angeles. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you very much for visiting.
Thank you, Ms. Everhart. Margaret Peters, and then after Margaret Peters, Ann Jackson.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Peters. I am on the board of Empowerment Congress Southwest Neighborhood Council as the treasurer and a homeowner representative. I just wanted to address the board briefly in regards to the effective response to 311. As you've heard, we've had several residents who've diligently done their part in reporting cracked sidewalks, the roots on their trees, tree trimming, all of these trees, trash. They've done their part in reporting these things via 311, but the response has been negligible at best. You know, I personally had put in requests to have my tree roots come to look to see if they could be pruned, and I asked that when they responded, they would come and meet with me. No response as of yet. Then I get something in the email saying that it's closed. This is just some of the stuff that's going on. Also, the Bureau of Engineering, I read in the sidewalk report, is going to be responsible for implementing the prioritization in terms of repairs. And I would hope that that prioritization is not geared towards homeowner reimbursement. You know, the policy does suggest that the homeowners would be reimbursed, but that's only if they have to wait, you know, as long as we've already waited. I would prefer that the city make up a policy in terms of priority that would take into account the time that the residents in South Los Angeles have been waiting on the service. Finally, again, I just wanted to remind the board that, you know, we are always talking about Los Angeles being a world-class city. Well, South Los Angeles is part of that world-class city, and we deserve that world-class service from our Public Works Board and from other city departments. It's disrespectful to our residents. It's disrespectful to our property owners. We really want to see some action in terms of getting things done. Thank you for coming out to South Los Angeles tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Thank you. Ann Jackson, and after Ms. Jackson, Barbie Johnson. Good evening.
Good afternoon to our councilman, who has been very helpful whenever we comes to him, and to all of you who have come out to hear our complaints. I want to say thank you. First of all, I want to talk about the tree trimming. At our block club meeting, we have had commissioners come out, our commissioner come out, and tell us that it would take from 20 to 15 years to get the trees trimmed. I want to know why. And I want to know, if I'm a taxpayer, if we all are taxpayers, why can't we get services just as they do in the other areas? I drive to Hollywood, I drive to Beverly Hills. Everything is beautiful. Even in Inglewood, right adjacent from the city where I live, the trees are trimmed. But we don't have, the trees in my community have not been trimmed in I don't know how many years. So I would like for you to come out and look. And we are taxpayers just as the people are in other areas. So I would like for you to come out, not ignore us, but come out and do something for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Barbie Johnson. After Ms. Johnson, Kim Yergin. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Barbie Johnson, and I live in the Morningside Circle neighborhood of the 8th District. I am a long-term resident of the 8th District. My concern has to do with our alleys, our unkept alleys, and all of the illegal dumping that takes place in our alleys. And I'm offering a suggestion that, especially for the most egregious alleys with the repeated dumping over and over, and when you come out and pick up the trash, you back out again. So my suggestion would be to install surveillance cameras in the most egregious alleys, at least in some of those alleys, so that we can perhaps avert some of these problems that's going on there. In fact, it appears to me it would be more cost efficient if you would do it that way, and then you would be able to catch some of the repeat offenders. So that's my suggestion, and I ask that you would seriously consider that and install some surveillance cameras in the 8th District alleys. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Kim Jurgen, and then Anita Williams.
Good afternoon, Kim
Good
Jurgen.
afternoon.
Thank you for having me, and hey, Marquise. I just have one complaint. I really ditto on what that other gentleman said about, calling and not taking. He lived here for 60 years. Well, I've lived here for 32 years, and I live on a street on 6th Avenue, which has a massive number of palm trees. As a matter of fact, it's a radius from 6th to 11th Avenue, from Vernon to 54th Street, palm trees. So the first wind event that we had, I called to have those palms picked up because some of the palms are, the people put them on the street because there's so many. You can't just put them on the curb. So they eliminate, parking. You can't park there. I called the second week. No response in terms of somebody coming out. I called sanitation, street services, and Jared Farrell's office. The third week, I called Gerald Farrell's office back again to what happened? You haven't picked up the palms yet. That week, he told me, oh, well, we'll get to it if I have to get a truck and come out there myself. That didn't happen. The fourth week that I called, I said, I thought you were coming out, with a truck or whatever, get your own truck or whatever. Oh, we'll be out there Friday, because I was calling them on Monday, right? Oh, we're going to be out there Friday. Finally, after 4 weeks, they picked up the palms. However, 2 days later, there was another wind event. So the palms now are still out there. I haven't called them yet. But, it shouldn't take 4 weeks to pick up the palms because they know when there are these wind events that happen that these fronds are going to fall down. They know the area. Marquise was talking about they got camera of the
2
pictures
minutes.
of all the streets. So they should, my suggestion is to give the pictures of the streets that have palm trees on them to the Department of Sanitation or Street Services or whatever. So after a wind event, they know what streets, they will know what streets gonna need, palm frond pickup. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anita Williams, and then Brandon Floyd. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Anita Williams, and I live in the 8th with the great new councilman, and I own property also in the 10th. And I agree with all the conversations that have happened. I like to actually thank the people that have spoken before me for what they've covered, because a lot of this stuff, Marquise is here, but a lot of the issues we're having, they're both in the 8th and the 10th, and even some of us that also may live in the 9th. So don't just think of the 8th when you're thinking about the issues that we're talking about. I'm not going to talk about what they've talked about because they cover those nicely. I do want to say I was leaving a rental property I have in Lamert Park. Someone's complete apartment was emptied and on the sidewalk at Arlington where the metro goes by. I called 311. The lady said, oh, today is Tuesday. Trash day has happened. They'll get it next Tuesday. Now, nowhere else would they tell you that. Well, I'm from the South, and I don't take that kind of stuff. So I said, one, I'm going to call Herb Wesson's office and the mayor's office and let me speak to your supervisor. When I went back that Tuesday evening, it was gone. But they wouldn't do that to anybody else. So Ms. Watson and Mr. Watson talked about revitalization, which brought me to my issue. So everybody else is talking about what you haven't done already. And we know you're coming now with the MTA down our main cultural center and hub, Crenshaw. And the people that are responsible for that, I think, the lighting street repair would be LADOT, MTA, and you, Public Works. So when we have meetings about how that's going to look, the only people that ever come to the meetings is the MTA. So we're trying to understand with the group that I work with how you're going to give us a good-looking MTA running down the middle of Crenshaw. We're already getting bad services already, so please don't come and make up the money you overspent
2
in
minutes.
other areas and give us a subpar system down the middle of our hub, Crenshaw. So what we want you to do is, we want people from the mayor's office at these meetings. We want people from Public Works at these meetings. We want people from LADOT, because that's what you did on the Gold Line. And I've seen those stops. And I've seen that metro. So we don't want you to send just the MTA, let the MTA come and talk, because they can't talk about where you're going to put street lights, how you're going to run the lighting, what you're going to do with the sidewalks. So the mayor's office is here, you are here. I know you know some people at LADOT. So maybe from this day forward, the next time we have meetings about the metro you're running down here, we want the same quality or better that they have going on the extension to Azusa. I've seen it.
Thank you, ma'am. Brandon Floyd, and then after Mr. Floyd, Charlotta Butler. Good evening, sir.
My name is Brandon Floyd. I'm an area representative for the neighborhood NANDAC, North Area Development Council. Question. So we have a problem with the trash along Western from Vernon to Jefferson. And one thing we don't have is trash cans, and neither does it get emptied. And say a 5150 person comes up and empties the trash, throws the trash, it's going to be there for weeks. And another concern, we don't have any lights along 39th and Western at the bus stop. And that's where a lot of night activity happens right there. And if I can get a process of getting a bid along Western from, King to Jefferson, what's it called, a business improvement district, and trying to get it just together. Because we have businesses, but it's not being kept in the area. And thank you. My name is Brandon Floyd.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Floyd. Charlotta Butler?
Somebody was looking out for me because I didn't hear you call my name the first time.
Oh, well, there you go, Ms. Butler.
All right, here she go. Now, we talk about the palms. This began last year, and this date on here is March 17th, and they were still laying in the streets. Finally, they came and got them a week after Marquise had his meeting over there on Vermont. So that's how long it took to get that. And matter of fact, I went to the people's house and had it in Spanish just in case they didn't understand, but they said they had been calling. Also talk about trees. The date on here, February 18th. I have called in on this tree many years ago. It's only been maybe once that they did a little bit of trimming. Okay, and the outcome is this. Talk about trees. This was the outcome. I started to call television and tell them to come over here because they go to other neighborhoods and put other people's property on TV with their cars and everything all smashed up. This is what we're getting here in the city of Los Angeles, 90062. And this. Now, as far as I feel, as far as alleys, and the reason why our streets are like this, like it is because we have stuff like this. We are a joke. And as long as this kind of stuff keeps coming up, they're just going to keep disrespecting, and it's going to be allowed. There is an ordinance that says that there is no graffiti. This is graffiti for me. It is not permitted. And the other thing is, I like to say, is that the rip-off city of Bale don't have their neighborhoods looking like this.
2 minutes.
Lastly, I can say a little bit more then, 2 more minutes. Furthermore, as far as the alleys,
tried to get, back in September, October, tried to get the mayor, Garcetti. I've been to his house. His neighborhood doesn't look like this over here in the city of Los Angeles. Tried to get him to respond to the alleys and the trash and the garbage on the streets. We had to get the television crew here and put it on television. We had to put this situation on blast. I showed them pictures of what's going on and how I've been begging and still showing pictures, spending my money. And then told them, I said, what you do is you get in your news helicopter and fly over the city of Los Angeles. And if anybody saw it on television, now we're talking about it. But in the meantime, we need a resolve, and we need it quick, because the neighborhood that I'm speaking of over here, this neighborhood, I've had this property for nearly 40 years, coming up on 40 years, and it wasn't nothing like this. So I suggest that we, get this cleaned up, because the outskirts of Los Angeles around here, they have shipped it over here, and we are the welcome mat, not me, though. And it's okay for us, but it's not over there at our mayor's house.
Thank you, ma'am. Everett Banks, and then DeForest Kirkwood. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Public Works Commissioners and staff. My name is Everett Banks, and I'm from the great 9th District. To piggyback on what some of your residents are saying and everything, especially the one about when they made the comments about the county and how they're cleaning their area and everything. I don't know if you're aware or not, but the county has instituted in their labor agreements and things like that, it's 30, 30, 40. You're not going to sit around if you don't have anything to do. You're going to do other job descriptions and specs. Now, if you want to get your place cleaned up, I don't want to advise you, but take heed to what the county is doing. Please, take heed to what the county is doing. And also, when it comes to your medical and stuff, they bring down there, when you go for your medical examinations, they'll suggest to you what you should eat. Lay it out to you. Now, if you don't want to follow it, smoking cigarettes, hey, it's an extra $50 we're going to take out. When they leave out them rooms and everything, they slamming the doors, breaking windows and everything. But the county got it together. Take heed from the county. You get this stuff cleaned up, listen to your constituents, okay? Thank you very much. Don't be ashamed to bring back those two people loading trucks that the sanitation district had back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You can also get those things cleaned up, and those are good jobs in which they can learn, and don't be ashamed to have people to be cross-trained, because this is what the county is doing now. They're cross-training, and this is why they're being so successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. DeForest Kirkwood.
Thank you for having this EM event and coming out. I actually know it's in after 5, so I want to thank you for that. So I live in Hyde Park. I live in the 8th District, and I'm thankful to have this wonderful councilman here. Excellent job. The issue that I'm having is with the construction that's being done with the metro. It's actually filthy. You know, it hasn't been cleaned, a lot of trash, a lot of graffiti. With the job I work with now, I'm able to travel throughout Paramount, Cerritos, Artesia, and they're beautiful cities. And, you know, they aren't all of the Caucasian persuasion. You know, they're mixed cities, and I believe we can actually take a little time just to beautify what we have here with all of the metro that's going on. And I'm glad that we're doing that for the city. I'm glad that we're bringing in revenue that way, and I'm glad that it's safe. But if we could just put a little bit more beauty and time in it, it'd be amazing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkwood. Barbara Jones-Chikosi.
Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak before the board. I'm having a problem with my neighbor and their private trash collection. They have a dumpster in the front of the building. Trash is in my yard constantly. Now, the trash can is leaking and the matter is spilling all over the sidewalk. Is there an ordinance that says commercial trash collection is certain hours as opposed to picking up trash in a residential area? Because they come out at 4 o'clock in the morning now and pick up trash. And they could resolve this issue of the matter spilling over on the sidewalk by just bagging the trash, having the trash can changed periodically, put a deodorizer in it. I don't just come here with problems. I do have solutions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Herman?
Wow, when we give elected officials the powers, history demonstrates by your comments what's going on in our communities. That we have experienced social harms of such a degree that is just unimaginable. You can't pick up the trash, you can't clean our streets, you can't fix our sidewalks. ADA.gov, go there, any one of you, disabled or non-disabled, register a complaint and get this city to do some actions to fix our sidewalks and streets. That is a major tax initiative that our so-called mayor, Eric Garcetti, wants to throw on your hard-working backs. You work hard enough. Why should we pay for more for less in our minority neighborhoods, in which I live in, a minority neighborhood? Not because of the color of my skin, but because of the color of my articulate words and how I say it. Get your shit together and clean up our neighborhoods. It's unpopular by what I say, but it's a point that must go through your thick skulls, because we live in the trash on a daily basis. We drive into our homes and find the trash in our communities, trees untrimmed. Our trees are constantly unattended. Where's the lighting? Look at the poor woman fell back there because there's no lighting. And what do we do about it? What do we do about it? Again, I'm going to talk about now ADA compliance, which falls under 42 USC 2000 DET section and subsection E parentheses 3 of section 706 of such activity called discrimination, Mr. City Attorney. Get on the ball, Mr. City Attorney, and protect our rights on sidewalk and streets. Wiltz versus Los Angeles, $1.3 billion.
2 minutes.
And I'm not done. And we also have Barden versus Sacramento. Any one of you get online and look up Barden versus Sacramento. They have curb ramps. They have sidewalks that don't have the conditions we live today. And we demand change, not now, Eric Garcetti, but take your boyfriend home and get to work.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Mr. Spindler.
There's supposed to be 5 commissioners. Where's Joel F. Jacinto? And where's Monica Rodriguez? How come when you hold these field meetings in Cypress Park, all 5 of you commissioners show up early? But when you're down here, south of the 10, you can barely make 3 of you to show up here. Why? Shame. Because you know this is the epicenter of the fucking failure of the city of Los Angeles. And you know you broke this place and you can't fix it. And you know why? Cowards. You got the money. Today they gave out $17 million for a housing project. Every week they give out millions of dollars, Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at City Hall. Millions of dollars. How many millions would it take to fix this? 15, 20 million? You could do it in 6 months. But you don't have any leadership. You got no courage. You don't give a damn. You could fix this all. But you got to pour the money in and get those trucks out there and fix all this garbage. And you could do it. Like when we bomb countries. We're good at bombing countries, but we really aren't good at repairing the bombed sidewalks. But when I go up to Encino, when I go up to Sherman Oaks, I have to look real hard to find a cracked sidewalk. But when I come here, it's quite easy. But when you're north of the 10 freeway, again, it becomes hard to find a cracked sidewalk. Why? So we need to get rid of this garbage. Stop talking about it's the poor area. You got the money. No, you stole the money. Fix the goddamn sidewalks. Get a list tonight and go tomorrow and start fixing all of these sidewalks. You got the money. And where are these two idiots, Monica Rodriguez and Joel Jacinto? If you can hear right now, it's on 621 City, 213. Joel Jacinto and Monica Rodriguez, we're having a meeting at Crenshaw High School. Get in your cars and get your asses down here. We're going to be here for a few more hours. Show your faces. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Mr. Roch, on our agenda items, graffiti abatement and community beautification services. But before that, we have a presentation, a certificate of recognition to our gang alternative program. This is from the Office of Community Beautification. Mr. Roch, all yours, sir.
Good morning, or good morning, sorry.
Used to saying that.
Evening. I am used to saying that.
We're a few more hours away from morning, though, but go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Paul Roch. I'm the director of the Office of Community Beautification. I'm going to give a presentation on that in a moment. But before I do that, we do have a certificate of recognition for one of the graffiti removal and community cleanup organizations, Gang Alternatives Program. They work in the southern portion of Council District 8. We actually have two contractors. LA Conservation Corps works north of Slauson, and Gang Alternatives Program works south of Slauson. And when we did the last community meeting, we recognized LA Conservation Corps, so we didn't want to recognize them again, although we do want to acknowledge their hard work in CD8. But at this point, I do want to call up the representatives from the Gang Alternatives Program. We have Victor Medina, who's the Community Outreach Coordinator. And we actually have all the crews that service the southern portion of Council District 8. So we have Brandon, Francisco, Manuel, and Humberto. If you guys would come forward. These guys started their morning this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, out there removing graffiti. And just so everybody knows, crews are out there basically 7 days a week trying to keep up with the graffiti taggers, whether it's water blasting graffiti off the sidewalks, painting it off the walls, using chemical solvent to get it off the stop signs and the light poles. So on behalf of the Board of Public Works, we're proud to honor the work of the Gang Alternatives Program for partnering with the Office of Community Beautification through the graffiti removal contract and helping to keep Los Angeles beautiful, providing exceptional community beautification and cleanup support.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I do. Good evening, commissioners, also our councilman, Harris, Marquis, Dawson. I want to thank all of you, stakeholders, also city staff. First of all, it's an honor to be here tonight. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, commissioners. It is a great honor to stand in front of you and say thank you. And are pretty much behind me is people who deserve the round of applause. They're the ones, like Paul said, 7 days a week, pretty much pretty much out there now putting their lives in danger to make this community better for every single one of you. Rain or shine, they're out there making a difference, cleaning the graffiti. Within our agency, we have a theory. Pretty much, if tagger's out there 100 times, we'll be out there 101. If they're out there 101, we'll be out there 102 times. Why? Because sooner or later, they're not going to have any money they will run out of paint, and we're going to be out there making a difference and protecting the community and making it better for every single one of you. So I just want to, again, our staffers are behind me, and I just want to say thank you because they're the ones out there every single day making your community a better place for you guys to live in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you again.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the work you do. Mr. Roch.
So again, Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. Just with a quick overview of some of the services provided through our office. The Office of Community Beautification is a part of the Board of Public Works. We're an office located in City Hall. And we have a couple basic sort of large programs all designed around what the name of our office is. Cleaning up the city of Los Angeles, helping keep Los Angeles beautiful, and working with neighborhood organizations throughout the city to do the best that we possibly can. The first thing is we do operate the graffiti removal program for the city of Los Angeles. We contract with 13 nonprofit community-based organizations. They each have a geographical part of the city that they're responsible for. We just saw the representatives from GAP up here. In Council District 8, as mentioned, Gang Alternatives Program does half of the district, and LA Conservation Corps does the other half. Last year, on a citywide basis, all OCB contractors combined removed 30.6 million square feet of graffiti from over 607,000 locations. About 20 to 25% of the work that they do is a result of somebody calling in 311 or using the mobile app to request a service. The other 75 to 80% of the work that they do is them just proactively driving up and down the major corridors, knowing where the hot spots of graffiti are, and trying to get that taken care of before you guys even maybe have a chance to know that a particular wall or something like that got tagged up. Last year in Council District 8, our two contractors combined removed 1.6 million square feet of graffiti from over 21,300 locations. The contractors are now also part of the Clean Streets Initiative. I know that sanitation is going to be giving a overview of that program in a little while, but we are partnering with the Bureau of Sanitation, so now our contractors, in addition to doing graffiti removal, are also doing litter cleanup and weed abatement as well. So they have crews out there on a daily basis doing that type of work. And lastly, we work with volunteer groups because obviously the city just can't do everything. We definitely heard that tonight. I think we all realize that. But we found that by partnering with neighborhood organizations and cleanup groups, the Office of Community Beautification wants to support those types of work. We have a warehouse that is full of brooms and trash bags and shovels and rakes, and they're not doing any good when they just sit in the warehouse. We really want to try to work with neighborhood organizations, coordinate community cleanup and beautification projects. Last year, citywide, we worked with over 29,800 volunteers. They coordinated 307 volunteer cleanup events. Those volunteers provided over 118,000 hours of community service just cleaning up their neighborhoods. In Council District 8, OCB supported 17 events. We had 1,181 volunteers come out who provided 5,663 hours beautifying and cleaning up Council District 8. So I think that needs to be acknowledged. That's a lot of volunteers and a lot of volunteer hours.
Thank you, Mr. Roch.
Thank you.
Any questions for Paul Roch regarding graffiti abatement from the community? Thank you, sir. Mr. Roch will be here for a little longer. If you have a question, you want to ask him individually. Agenda item number 4, an oral report on our Clean Streets Initiative, an update from the Bureau of Sanitation. Mr. Garcia and Mr. Saldivar, if you'd like to introduce this.
Yes, thank you. Mr. President, I want to, Pepe Garcia is going to make the presentation on the overview and the preview of what's going to be the Clean Streets LA comprehensive indexing and assessment system, which the councilman alluded to earlier. That will roll out this Friday. But I want to just make some very brief comments on all of the things here that are so important to our mission in sanitation, and so very important to the calling that the councilman has made on us since day one of his tenure, the commitment that Mayor Garcetti has shown and the leadership of our board, but things that we've done that hopefully you have seen a difference. Quite not enough yet. Obviously, we have more to go. But since late last year, all of our bulky item service requests are done within the guaranteed service promise of next collection day. You know, we won't get into the nuances of how we set up our system of service, but all bulky item requests are responded to within the service guarantee of the next collection day. If that is tomorrow, it'll be done tomorrow. If it's your next latest collection day, which would be the most 7 days, it'll be done by then. That has happened on a guaranteed basis for the last 5 months. We now have a 24/7 customer care center, something we did not have. We're an extension of 311. You can call us at any time, any day of the week, anytime. You will get a live person. We now have 3 service teams that are only dedicated to do the illegal dumping. There will be more to come. Soon there will be more announcements to that effect. We will roll out the Clean Start, which is the Clean Streets LA that you will see right now. I want to quickly acknowledge the folks from sanitation who are part of our extended team of how we get things done. We have our community services group here who are instrumental in working with the community and the council office. Renee and Janice, who are here. Renee Shackelford and Janice. And then you'll meet other folks from sanitation briefly. So I just wanted to quickly tell you some of the things we've done. Clearly not enough, but it's the partnership that we're really interested in and appreciative of. Pepe, if you can go ahead and do the overview.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jose Garcia. Everybody knows me as Pepe, and I am the manager in charge of the Clean Streets program under the leadership and direction of Enrique, and the leadership of the mayor, who has, and everybody's echoed, back to basics. What does that mean? Being in trash for 28 years, that means, you know, when you go to a city, if you're a police officer, you look at the police system. If you're a trash man, you look at how trash is. Like everybody's echoed here that when they go to different cities, they notice things, and we do. As a trash man, I take it personal that there's a lot of bulky out there. And the mayor's commitment to invest resources in all this, in the infrastructure of sanitation to get this done, I think it's a step in a very positive way. Like Enrique said, there's more to come. So under the Directive 8, we currently have 3 teams that go out and target illegal dumping where there is a heavy amount of blight. You call for a bulky item collection and the driver gets there and it's an entire alley that's congested. That's referred to these strike teams who put it on the calendar and we get out there. We're doing it systematically as the calls come in. Take advantage of the 311 system, report it like you guys have, and we'll get to it because that's what these strike teams are designed to do. 3 is a great start. More to come would be better. The Clean Streets assessment that the councilman was referring to and how that program, that's going to be disclosed soon, and that will give us a kind of an idea of where the target and where to focus the resources. And along with that, where to put initially 1,250 sidewalk receptacles where there's a lot of litter, either coming out of a store or coming out of a restaurant or at a bus stop or wherever the assessment says that there's a high amount of litter. We're going to provide that service and collect it on a daily, if not weekly, if not daily basis, depending on the use of that receptacle. Initially, I mean, at the end of this whole plan, 5,000 city-owned receptacles will be out in all the city sidewalks, bus stops, and wherever the need is. And identifying the receptacles, LA Sanitation has been compiling every trash can that's for public use throughout the city, be it through MTA, some contracted through MTA, but it's compiling a database so that we know where all the trash cans are and we can gauge the need for service and eventually maybe be the sole collector of all those receptacles. Every piece of paper will belong to us. The indexing is the assessment of all the streets, like the councilman said. We drove down every street, we took a picture of everything, assessed it, and when it is revealed and it is the plan of action to take place, sanitation will take the lead and apply resources where needed according to what the assessment reveals. Litter, homeless encampments, generate trash, illegal dumping, anything beyond what one guy in one truck can pick up. And bulky items. Bulky items has always been there. It was referred to that, you get to one stop and he drives by 2 or 3. We make every appointment. Everybody who made the effort to make the call, it's on an appointment list. So we encourage everyone, if it's yours or not yours, to report it. I live in Inglewood. I drive through, I take the streets. I never jump on the freeway, and I report as I go along. Only because I care about the community and I see it. And 90% of what I report is never on anybody's schedule. So we must take responsibility for the neighborhood that we live in. So on an average, we get about 1,900 bulky item requests citywide. 1,900 requests. These are bulky requests that are made by the public that make the effort of calling 311, the 800 number on the side of the trash cans, or using the 311 app. The 311 app is not perfect. It will be there. If it has its flaws, it will be. But the design is there for a reason, so that we could utilize it, report it on the spot, and then sanitation will be there to respond to it. 57,000 calls in a month is what we receive through our call center, and that's 24/7. 620 locations. These were beyond the couch collections. These were somebody's remodeled kitchen. This was somebody's torn down fence or tree that they tore down and disposed of in the alleys. In the last 30 days, we responded to about 253 of these big complaints.
Are you responding to palm fronds also?
Palm fronds are our responsibility.
That's your responsibility too?
That's our responsibility.
Is it like a supervisor told you, it's on a resident basis? If you call the resident they call and nobody else on the street, is that true? Is that true?
We go out and we have, because palm fronds are unique. They fall all over your front yard, the street, sidewalk, on top of fences, on top of cars. So what we try to do is we try to go out in neighborhoods where we know there's a lot of palm trees, pile them up in a corner, and they come with a machine that can pick up that whole pile.
I've seen it, but what I'm asking you is if somebody calls.
Sir, ask your question, and then we'll get through the presentation so that everybody can get the information, and then you can ask questions. I called for questions a moment ago. I'll do it after every item. Okay.
I want to ask the question when he's on point right now, not 10
So finish. So finish your question now. We'll have that discussion, and then we'll move on. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
So your question was, do I pick up just your house because you called? No, it's reported, but remember, when you call for a palm frond collection, it's one guy on one truck. He's gonna get what he can. Report it to the Clean Streets program, and we go out there and clean it all up. It doesn't die. It doesn't die
Pepe.
at yours.
Pepe, the solution to that is when you call, don't just call and say, I have palm fronds in front of my house. Say, there's palm fronds all up and down my street. That way, the person who puts in a comment will say, we're thinking it's just in front of your house. Okay? Okay. Very good.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Garcia, go ahead, and when he finishes, we'll go back to questions. Go ahead, sir.
So since January of 2016, we removed about 820 tons of material. A lot of that comes from the accumulation of bulk in homeless encampment locations. So we have a crew. We're building up. We have a crew. We have a lot of, we're ramping up to get to where we need to be to service you in a timely manner. Now, mind you, there's different types of collections. There's these heavy vegetated alleys to somebody dumped a load of construction material that blocked the passageway. But we're getting to the point where we can respond in a prompt and timely manner to all your requests. And we've hired a good group of people and working in conjunction with the council offices and LAPD. We're trying to make a difference in the communities that are highly affected by illegal dumping. The trash receptacles, there's different types. But you'll be seeing a lot of the ones on the bottom right-hand corner on your corners out there. That's part of that 5,000 overall that will be placed out there, along with, again, gathering a database of all the receptacles that are citywide at every given point, from the heavily traveled, the automated big belly compactor systems to white wire baskets that are still used in some communities, and the bids, the business improvement districts that utilize them. So we'll have a database of all the receptacles throughout the city. So what we asked the neighborhood and the neighborhood councils to do is to take advantage of the fact that we pick up bulky items. I did it. I was picking up trash by hand many years ago, and there's a lot of people that this is what they do for a living. If you report it, we'll go out there and we'll pick it up. We make every scheduled call. Like Enrique said, we go out there. If you reported it today and your collection is tomorrow, we'll be there tomorrow. If you reported it today and your collection was yesterday, it will be on somebody's route next Tuesday. So we encourage, even if it's yours, we all pay for it. It's all paid for. It doesn't matter who it belongs to. We don't take ownership of how many times you report it or someone else reports it. If you get tired of seeing it at the same corner, report it. Coordinate cleanups. We work with the council offices on a regular basis for weekend cleanups with the volunteers that you have. We provide VINs. We provide the services that you need, trucks, availability, and all this stuff, so that your volunteer time is appreciated and well spent. Educate your neighbors on the services that we provide. Again, use the app. Take photos. That's the best way to do it, because we can see exactly what we're looking at, as opposed to sending one guy on one truck or a whole fleet of trucks and a bunch of guys to to decongest an alley. And the reporting mechanism is 24 hours, 7 days a week. Like Enrique said, you'll get a live person.
Thank you. And if the council member would like to speak on the palm trees.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for letting me speak out of turn on this issue of the palm fronds. One, I want to just give another thanks and applause to our sanitation department. Our sanitation department is one of the best in the country. When you go to the sanitation department, you can't make it through the lobby for all of the awards. That doesn't mean that they're not challenges and problems as all of them have acknowledged. But on the palm fronds, that's a particular issue that I want to respond to, because we've had a dog of a time with this, up to and including, having my staff get gloves and hard hats and jeans and T-shirts and getting a truck from somewhere, just going out and picking up as many as we could, because it got so terrible. So the city has two problems. One, palm fronds are dead leaves from palm trees, right? So the proper way to deal with that is to trim them before they fall, right? Here's the deal. The city does not have enough crews to trim the trees in a timely manner, so they fall, right? And then once they fall, it isn't quite, sanitation's being kind here, and I appreciate them for that. But the truth is, they're for garbage that is created by humans, right? And we have a Department of Forestry and street services and all the rest. So what really needs to happen is we need more crews to trim the trees before they fall. In a few weeks, there's going to be an email, and we're going to be on the internet, and there's going to be a budget town hall meeting. We need you to come to that budget town hall meeting and tell the mayor and the council that you want budget for tree trimming, specifically for these palm trees, and crews especially to deal with the palm fronds. And it's important that you come out, because palm trees are kind of like alleys. Other parts of the city don't have nearly as many alleys as our neighborhoods do. Other parts of the city also don't have nearly as many palm trees as we do. So we feel it in a way that isn't necessarily felt around the city. So our voice needs to be loud on this. And again, we're going to have the opportunity to say it loud and to say it forcefully when the city is finalizing its budget in the next term. But I wanted to add that to I appreciate you taking responsibility for it as much as you could. But again, there's a way this gets dealt with, and it's a way it's been dealt with historically.
Thank you, Councilman. Ma'am, you had your hand up.
Do one.
Go ahead, Mr. Garcia.
Just a suggestion, maybe when you have such a large area to cover, that's something that the council office deputies and myself or the bureau can kind of coordinate and collaborate what we can do together to clean a large area like that. Because it is difficult when you put an order in and you're a driver, how do you canvass the entire area? That's more of a situational thing and something that can be.
We have a number of other. Mr. Garcia, will you stay and talk to her individually so we can continue moving with all the other presentations?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. On the agenda, number 7, an oral report on project.
I'm sorry, they wanted.
Yes. Commissioner Penning regarding an event Friday related to the Clean Streets Initiative.
Sure, thanks. I actually just wanted to mention that there is a lot of work happening at the city right now going into really thinking about how we improve cleanliness and livability in our neighborhoods. And I really want to thank your Councilmember Harris Dawson and his staff for their hard work and very vocal advocacy for their residents on this issue and on all public works issues. They really let us know the very high expectations that they have on your behalf, but they're not just walking the walk, they're talking the talk and training people on how to use our 311 system and how to report problems. So we're here to partner with you. I also want to thank our staff and leadership from sanitation on all the work they're putting into clean streets. We're actually going to be doing an event on Friday with the mayor and with some of our members from the city council to really go through the Clean Streets program and to show the data that we've been collecting as we've done an assessment of our entire city. So if you'd like to join us, if you'd like to hear more, we're going to be starting at noon in the LAPD auditorium at 100 West 1st Street. That's at noon on Friday. It shouldn't go longer than an hour, hour and a half. And I think Enrique's bringing Subway, so
Right.
it should be an extra.
Lunches on sanitation.
Yes. Hope to see you on Friday.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7, an oral report on project labor agreements, a status update from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Teresa Jimenez? Good evening, Ms. Jimenez.
Good evening, Commissioners.
A little closer to the mic for us. There we go. Thank
How's
you.
that? Okay. Commissioners, Bureau representatives, Council Member Harris Dawson, I'm here to talk to you about the project labor agreement, specifically about the program and its results, projects in CD8, and the benefits to the community. So, project labor agreement is basically a targeted hiring plan, and what I didn't do is this. Yeah. ELA. I don't. Excuse me for that.
Go right ahead.
So the project labor agreement, as I said, is a targeted hiring plan. I'm going to focus on the goals. It is for city projects. And the goals are for the community involvement and participation through local hiring and apprenticeship training for construction jobs. So local hire is 30% of the workers. Local apprentice hire is 50% of the workers, and disadvantaged hire is for 10% of the workers. Again, these are all from the Los Angeles community. The first 5 years of the program, we've had 61 projects, a total of $715 million. I'm going to call your attention to that third box, last column. The local hire, we had 41%. Success, remember the goal is 30%. Apprentice hires, 67%. the goal is 50. Disadvantaged hires, 10%, 24%, and the goal is 24. We had 24%, and the goal is 10%. So we're doing quite well with that. What does it mean for the community? We had $19 million reinvest in the community in terms of wages. The current projects, there's 3 projects. There's the Central Outfall Sewer Rehabilitation, Slauson Avenue to Vernon Avenue. It's a $7 million project. It began December 2014. It's 96% complete. As you can see, we're meeting our goals at 34% local hires, 90% local apprentices, and 17% disadvantaged. The second project is the North Outfall Sewer Unit 2, Western Avenue to Vermont Avenue, and Unit 5, San Pedro Street to Hooper Avenue. That began in May 2014, $50 million project. That's 95% complete. Again, the local hire goals, 30% met. A local apprentice, 80%, and disadvantaged, 39%. And the project I really I want to talk to you about is the Slauson Compton Sewer Rehabilitation. It's a $19 million project. The main contractor, the prime contractor is Kolich & Sons. It's beginning now. As you can see, the completion date is only 1.2%. What that means is that there will be hiring opportunities for the local community. And so the question was, how do we do that? Jeffrey Henderson is the jobs coordinator for that project. He's also program manager for TransCal Services, and I've invited him here today. Jeff, you could stand. Jeff, if you have interest in these they're construction jobs, please stay and talk to Mr. Henderson. Also, for job information in general, he's still standing. For job information in general, I encourage you to visit the West Adams WorkSource Center, 2900 South Crenshaw Boulevard, which I understand is a couple of blocks away from here. So you have that as a resource for jobs in general. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jimenez. Mr. Reamer, the Bureau Director for the Bureau of Contract Administration, sir.
What I'd like to say is, thank you, President James, for the community, this is the city's effort to ensure that when projects are awarded by this board, and they're working in your backyard, that we like to say, that opportunities exist for young men and women to work on these projects. The percentages that you heard this evening, the 30%, that speaks to all of the hours that are worked. We want 30% of those hours to be worked by Los Angelinos, those individuals who live in the city of Los Angeles. There's a heavy push to ensure apprenticeship opportunities. That's someone learning a craft, a trade, be it an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, a sheet metal worker. This is our desire to invest, and you must know that your council member has been very passionately involved in ensuring that projects, 3 of which are working in Council District 8, have project labor agreements. It's a tool that we use to partner with the Los Angeles Orange County Building Construction Trades Council to put men and women to work, and not just on a job, but this is a career opportunity where they learn a trade, and as they go through the apprenticeship program, ultimately becoming a journey level worker, this is a tool that they can carry with them anywhere in this country. So we're proud of the opportunity that we have to partner with this community and other communities in the city to make sure that people have an opportunity not just to work on a job, but have a career. The last project that was mentioned, and Mr. Henderson was asked to stand up, we have on all of these projects what's called a jobs coordinator. That's the person who connects with the community, those who might know someone who's looking for work. And if you have someone that might fit that criteria, please see Mr. Henderson before you leave. We're not guaranteeing a job on this particular project necessarily. What we're guaranteeing you is an opportunity to work on many projects that we have in the city of Los Angeles. And this is spreading, not just on this project. Many have made note of the Crenshaw line. That also has a project labor agreement where your council member has been, again, very instrumental in making sure that opportunities exist for people to work. So I could talk all night about this, and I don't want to do that. I just want you to know that we know it's very important. One of the members tonight spoke to the importance of job opportunities. This is a tool that we have in Public Works to ensure that happens. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Mr. Reamer. Mr. Reamer. Thank you, Ms. Menace. Agenda item number 6, Mr. Chen, sidewalk repair program, update on the city's upcoming sidewalk repair plan. This is a $1.4 billion 30-year plan to repair the sidewalks across the city of Los Angeles.
Town hall format, if you have something, question, just raise your hand. Oh, okay. That's why he was calling for questions.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm Steve Chen, Street Improvement and Stormwater Program Manager with the Bureau of Engineering. One of my responsibilities is to oversee the sidewalk repair program. Today I'm joined with Carl Nelson, who's the sidewalk program manager, and also, of course, our city engineer, Gary Leemore. Sure.
A little louder, Steve.
All right. Okay. Okay, next slide here. So this is basically what we're trying to accomplish, is to fix all the broken sidewalks in the city. As you can see, here's an example of a sidewalk that has been damaged by some tree roots adjacent to it. And obviously a safety hazard and something that we want to address throughout the city. To give you an idea of the amount of sidewalks we have in the city, we have about 11,000 miles of sidewalk, and we estimate roughly about 5,000 miles of those sidewalks are in need of repair. To give you a sense of how much that is about the distance from here to New York and back, so that's definitely a large task that we have to undertake. Okay. Just giving you a brief background on the sidewalk repair program. It started back in February 3rd of 2015 when council authorized us to do sidewalk repairs adjacent to city facilities. The program is being managed by the Bureau of Engineering along with the Bureaus of Contract Administration, Street Services, as well as other city departments that have supported us. And to date, we have completed repairs at 152 city facilities, which is equivalent to about 28 miles of 5-foot sidewalk. So fast forward to today, to last week actually, March 29th, 2016, Council adopted the sidewalk repair policies. And I'll just give you a highlight of some of them that we're focusing on right now. The Bureau of Engineering was tasked to prioritize and coordinate the repairs for all the sidewalks, and we're working on a policy for that. We also, there's a policy now that the council has adopted to fix and release the responsibility of the sidewalk repair back to the adjacent property owners for all private property. We also have a sidewalk inspection and certification program that basically is to, first of all, inspect the sidewalks to assess them for their condition, and then once it's determined which sidewalks need to be repaired, then they will be repaired, and then once they're repaired, there's a certification process to assure that they've been properly repaired. Along with that comes a warranty for the sidewalks once they're repaired. We're looking at doing a warranty for residential properties for 20 years, and for commercial and industrial properties, 5 years. Okay, continuing on here. Also, because there's so many sidewalks to repair, we understand that not everyone's going to get their sidewalk repaired immediately, so there's going to be, for those property owners who like to proactively repair their sidewalks, within the first 3 years of the program, the city is offering a cost-sharing incentive program. Basically, the city will help pay for the repairs of the sidewalks. In addition, the city will waive the permit fees to make it more financially able for residents to get their sidewalk repairs sooner than having to wait for the entire program to take place. Along with that, we're looking at the importance of preserving the urban forests while maintaining accessibility. So something like this is basically to, for example, we have a lot of trees that have damaged sidewalks because the tree wells are too small and then the sidewalks get cracked. So one of the things we're doing is to enlarge the tree wells to prevent that from happening and then fix the sidewalks adjacent to that location. And I'll show some photos later on of examples of that. In doing this work, we're looking at a variety of approaches using city forces as well as private contractors. We're obviously going to include small, women, and minority-owned businesses to help us make the repairs. We're also providing opportunities for former gang members and transitional residents. This is to help those who need training and allow them to enter the job force. Another item is that we're going to explore utilizing alternative materials such as porous concrete, rubberized concrete, and also concrete mixes that have recycled material. And we're also going to be starting an environmental impact report very soon to address the impacts of this program.
Thank you.
I just have a few. Oh,
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
No, just a few photos, just to kind of. It's not that clear here because it's kind of dark, but basically these are examples of before and after photos. This one here is Angeles Mesa Library. As you can see on the left, the situation that was there previously. You have a tree which uplifted the sidewalks. What we did is then enlarge the tree well significantly, and as you can see, fix the sidewalk adjacent to that tree. This is harder to see in this picture, but basically it's a very similar situation. On the left, you can see there's an uplifted sidewalk due to a tree root, and afterwards we repaired it with a much larger tree well, so this tree could still stay there without having to be removed. Another example here, as you can see the sidewalk before, it's a lot of asphalt patches, it's very broken up, and there, the after picture, a much more smooth and accessible sidewalk. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Steve. Gary Leemore, our city engineer.
Yeah.
Just want to say, I want to acknowledge Councilman Harris Dawson. I was with his Director of Infrastructure, Joanne Kim, and 4 other members of his staff today focused on this issue. And I know it's a passion of yours, making this community the best it can be. And I know also with you and your fellow council members voting to have our city administrative officer look at how we can shorten the duration to implement this program. I know we're all anxious. It's a real sense of pride for all of us. I live in the 10th district. I trip over the sidewalks in the 10th district. I'm anxious with you to get the sidewalks as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Herman, you have a question? Yes, ma'am. Mr. Herman's question, and then we'll have your question in the back.
Well, under federal dollars that you're using to repair these sidewalk and streets, you know you cannot double dip under the standards of the American Disability Act to use federal dollars to first fix the problem and then throw it back on all of us taxpayers to pay for it at the end. It should be a maintenance on behalf of the city, not to create a maintenance failure. It should be for life, because people like myself and other people that are disabled have a right to walk and have access on our public sidewalk and streets for use, not have impassable mobility in an area that you are responsible to repair and fix. This questionnaire about this engineering idea is a bunch of nonsense. Send this message back to Eric Garcetti. Come to work and do your job and stop supporting Hillary Clinton and do your job in the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Ma'am in the back. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, could you come? So I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
If the slides could be.
Oh, on the website. Either that or can we get it to?
You're talking about all of them or just this one?
Like the sanitation in this one here. Oh. The one by Paul and the one by Pepe.
Mr. Campos.
We do have extra copies that we can provide you, but we will upload them into our website, www.boardofpublicworks or bpw.lacity.org.
Okay, also, why are city facilities getting fixed first rather than residents?
You want to take the first stab and then I'll supplement? Go ahead.
President James, I defer to you.
Well, no, I'll start and then you can, and then I'll start and then you can supplement. The city settled a federal lawsuit. You've heard some reference to it earlier, the Willits case. The requirements of the settlement of the federal class action, one of the key requirements that was mandated by the plaintiffs as well as approved by the federal judge was that city facilities be given the earlier priority because they are, one, high pedestrian trafficked areas, and in addition to that, there's the issue related to liability of the city and of the taxpayers. When an accident happens on city property, and the city is sued and has to pay money out as a result of that claim, that's your money. It's not our money, it's your money, it's taxpayer money. And so the key requirement of the first step of the settlement was to fix the sidewalks around city facilities. Mr. Moore, anything additional?
I was just going to say, in parallel with that, we've started the repairs that we've had called in to our ADA concerns that have happened. And also, as the councilman has been a great advocate and the entire council voted, that every year part of the funds will go towards this also, specific areas that are associated with accessibility. So it's really now, we're broadening out the program.
Right, yeah, so just to add on to that a little bit, every year, based on some of the worst locations around the city for ADA accessibility, that's that money that's carved out every year of the settlement for those sidewalk repairs as well. So money will be going to a number of different projects each year of the 30-year program. Also, I would just add that in the back of the room we have a handout that has information on the Department of Public Works with the city's website information, as well as telephone numbers and access information that's very helpful. It is in the back of the room. We can take one more question on the sidewalk program and then move along. Yes, ma'am? Go ahead. You're standing up with the... Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Ms. Peters, am I guessing right? That's it. How about that?
A couple of questions. I'm going to try to put them all in one. I noticed that you have that 3-year timetable for repairs in terms of getting to different aspects. You also had something about a cost incentive program. My thing for homeowners who are willing to participate in that program, first we have to get inspectors out to give us, feasibility in terms of getting permits for the tree roots. Are the trees healthy enough? Can they be saved? Can we as homeowners take them up? I put in several requests to have someone come out to my home to do that. My last request was on December 21st, and I have the paperwork here. I have yet to get anybody out to my house. So, when you've got homeowners who are willing to meet you halfway, we really need some help in terms of somebody coming out and working with us. How long is that going to take?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for those questions. And I believe that you're referring to on the incentive program that's going to be in the first 3 years. We are, along with the direction from the council, the mayor's budget will be coming out April 20th with the resources to implement this program. So working together with the Bureau of Street Services, and Steve's right here, we'll get your address and information and we'll find out why you haven't been responded to. But we definitely hope to have a much more robust response time here with the new program. So we apologize for what you've experienced.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Moving to agenda item number 5, Waste Hauler Franchise Program, Waste Pickup Schedule Updates. Dan Myers from the Bureau of Sanitation. This question came up earlier in the issue around commercial trash pickup in relation to residential trash pickup had come up earlier this evening. So the transition to the exclusive trash franchise will address those issues. Mr. Myers.
Yes, it most certainly will. Dan Myers, Bureau of Sanitation. Very pleased to talk about a new program. We're embarking upon a new program that known as Zero Waste LA that will significantly improve the way solid waste is collected from commercial and large multifamily complexes. A program that will directly address the concerns of hauling operations outside of normal business hours, hauling operations where trash is allowed to accumulate around bins, bins that are not well kept. The current waste hauling system, as it stands now, does not meet the city's environmental, public health and safety, and customer service goals. Under the current system, the city can't require clean fuel vehicles that are required in many of the local communities around Southern California. The city can't require haulers to abide by health and safety standards, and can't hold the waste haulers accountable to diverting solid waste to meet the city's goals of diverting or actually reaching zero waste by the year 2025. Currently, businesses don't have direct access to recycling programs, and waste haulers can charge really whatever rates they feel that they can get from a business or a multifamily complex. We found that adjacent businesses with the exact same level of service are charged vastly different rates, and that type of disparity is citywide. We've also found, and we know that solid waste vehicles, in a given block, there might be 7 different waste haulers collecting on the exact same day from 7 different businesses. But this will all change under the new system. Under the new system, a single waste hauler will be held accountable for providing service in defined regions or zones of the city. The waste haulers will be held accountable for reaching the city's zero waste goals by the year 2025. All businesses and multifamily complexes in the city will be provided waste and recycling services. The city will have uniform rates citywide. Every business will have the opportunity to pay the same rates for the same service, no matter where you are in the city or how large or how small your business is. It will be based upon your needs. We'll also require high level of customer service. The service standards will be set in contract, and there will be actually the ability to levy heavy fines for haulers that don't provide high levels of customer service. We'll also eliminate the what happens now, where I spoke before, of multiple waste haulers picking up in a single day from adjacent businesses. That will be eliminated through the new system. We will have clean fuel vehicles. Every trash truck operating in the city will be clean fuel vehicles, improving air quality citywide. We'll also have in place a system that will ensure that health and safety standards are held at all facilities that will handle the city's solid waste and recyclables. And we're well underway of developing and implementing this program. In 2014, the City Council approved the ordinance that gave us the authority to move forward in the development of this program. In June of 2014, we released an RFP, request for proposal, a bid, to solicit waste haulers to participate in this program and give us the opportunity to evaluate them and recommend those that can provide the highest level of service. We anticipate bringing our recommendations back to this board in mid-2016, hopefully within the next couple of months, and fully implementing this program by mid-2017. Again, very excited about being involved in what is a major change in how waste and recycling is handled throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Alex, anything? Any questions on the waste hauler program? Thank you. Going to agenda item number 3, Bureau of Street Lighting on Street Lighting Improvements and Technology. Fabian Chang. Mr. Chang, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Fabian Cheng from the Bureau of Street Lighting. I'm here to give a brief presentation on some of the programs that the Bureau is currently taking underway. Just a brief background, the Bureau of Street Lighting is in charge of the maintenance, design and construction of all the street lights in the city of Los Angeles, which are approximately 215,000 citywide. That gives you an idea of the vast number of lights that we have throughout the city. I want to start with this slide, which is our LED conversion program, which was started back in 2009. Phase 1 was completed in June of 2013, in which we converted a total of 141,089 streetlights to new LED fixtures, saving approximately 63% in energy savings, which translates roughly to 48,000 metric tons of annual CO2 reduction from the atmosphere. In addition to that, we're realizing about $7.1 million in annual energy savings just from the conversion program and the reduction in energy. As we go forward, phase 2 is a 4-year plan, which will convert approximately 30,000 units. So far, we have converted about 15,000 of those. Most of those are decorative and ornamental fixtures that you see in some parts of the city, mostly in downtown and some residential areas. This next slide is one of the new programs that we recently started implementing in the city. It's a smart pole co-location program, which actually takes advantage of the city infrastructure to accommodate telecommunication equipment within a street lighting pole, and also gives us an opportunity to house internal electronics within the base of the pole, and reducing any above ground facilities that you often see in parts of the sidewalk and parkways in the city. Some of the project benefits, as you see here, strengthen the city's communication coverage. Poles will look better, will resist high winds and earthquakes than other typical street lighting poles. As I mentioned, the antennas are placed within the pole, and I just want to mention that these are low power telecommunication equipment, which only cover about between 200 and 500 feet from the street light. Everything is directed towards the street to provide better coverage for cellular users. For this fiscal year, 15-16, we're targeted to do about 100 of these installations. We're currently about 80% of those, so roughly 80 installations have been installed citywide. There have been 2 installations in Council District 8, one of them MLK and Normandy Avenue, and the other one is on Vermont and 28th Street. Most of these obviously located near USC campus. Next fiscal year, we're looking into doing about 200 of these citywide. The locations haven't been finalized yet, but presumably they're going to be throughout the city, just as the first 100 for this fiscal year.
There you go.
This next slide shows some of the smart city solutions that the Bureau is currently working on. The first one, which we're very excited about, is the EV charging stations. Currently, we have 2 pilot projects going in the city, both of them located in downtown. It is our intention to do about 30 installations this fiscal year, and currently we're working with the council office and business improvement districts and with the mayor's office through the Great Streets program to identify locations where there's a need for these and where the communities want them. So that's one of the programs that we're working on. The next one is a solar to grid, which basically captures the sun's energy converts it to electricity and feeds it back to the grid. So in a sense, we're capturing this energy and feeding it back to Department of Water and Power's grid for use at the highest periods of demand. We have installed about 135 panels throughout the city. For this fiscal year, part of our budget is to install about 500 panels throughout the city. Most of these, obviously, in commercial areas, in major corridors, nothing on residential streets. And the next one is a remote monitoring program that we have throughout the city. We have installed about 61,400 units. And what this does is actually measures the energy consumption of each of the street lights. It also gives us the ability to determine when there's a street light outage automatically. So in a sense, this system is reducing the amount of time that the repairs get done when there's a street light out. As I mentioned before, there are 215,000 street lights in the city, so the majority don't have this system yet. So we still rely on the public to call 311 to report these light outages. So, we'll continue to use that system as we go forward with this remote monitoring system. This last slide over here, I put together specifically for Council District 8 to give you an idea of some of the incidents that we address for street lighting in this district. Last year, we had 324 single light out repairs. Down the line, you see post hits, multiple lights out, vandalism, and other failures with the numbers corresponding to last year. Year to date for this year, again, you see the single light outages about 100, post hits about 31, which is almost half of what we had last year so far. So gives you an idea of the amount of work that our crews do on a daily basis to address all these problems, and vandalism and other failures as well. And some of the other issues that we're dealing with is copper wire theft, which is included also under this vandalism category, in which our crews constantly replace the wiring throughout the city. But in addition to that, we're sealing these pull box lids with special composite lids that are going to help deter this problem, hopefully in the future. This completes my presentation. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Mr. Ibrahim, anything on? Let me just add, before we take questions, that the use of new technology by the Bureau is very exciting, really across the board. I know that started some time ago, but we'd love to see it continue in this administration. Mr. Herman, you have a question? Hang on, let me call on this gentleman first. You asked a question before. We'll get to you in 1 second. Go ahead, sir, and then we'll take Mr. Herman's question.
Devastating to know that they don't know that this service is around. More than 80% do know of the 211 number, but it's really hard for them to stay on the line for 5 minutes and do the request. So I guess my question is, you guys know of an advertising campaign for the My LA 311?
Commissioner Penning.
Sure. We appreciate your feedback. We've just gone through a very thorough process of updating the 311 app and program. And we are looking at doing an outreach and marketing campaign. And it's something that we're working on. We recognize the importance of. I think we wanted to test out the new system first before we started promoting it heavily to make sure that all of the glitches were resolved. But that is something that is in the works with Deputy Mayor Romero's team. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think they're looking at putting something out later this year. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herman, you have a, yes, sir, you have a question?
Yeah, the question is, it sounds racist when you have 80-year-olds who can't navigate a system of 311 and a service that's so deplorable through program, service, and activity which fall under local state government to provide access. It's impossible. You've heard the complaints from your constituents. It's just not in the South Side. It's throughout the city. Your program sucks. And I want to put it very frank and upfront. You have a failure system here, an infrastructure system that does not work. So hashtag to the mayor, Eric Garcetti, get off the bone and do your goddamn job.
Yes, well, thank you for the question, Mr. Herman. Yes, ma'am, come forward.
Speak about, I don't know, somebody left something up here. Oh, my pictures for one.
Still there.
For the opportunity. Okay, apologize. Talk about streetlights. Now, which I did have an opportunity to speak to Mayor Garcetti. I appreciate that. I really do. And I did ask him this question, but I'm asking you all now. There is an alley, same alley that hit TV, that's, and some lights were installed in the alley. And in some areas here that there are lights in the alleys. Are those excess lights from someplace else? Because they are brighter than the lights that are on the main drags. My animals, I'm sure, and it sits right at the edge of my property. There's a pole out there, and it's on that pole. And I'm sure that my animals don't know when it's nighttime. When I feed them in the evening, I say good night so they'll know that it's nighttime. How come those lights are not on our streets? Because at least the ones that are in the alley, somebody could tell you if it's black, white, Asian, Mexican. I mean, it's just bright. I have security lights. I don't even need the infrared. It's just lit up. So why are those lights, did they come from someplace else? Well, you know, where'd they come from?
Mr. Ibrahimian?
Cut them up and down, right?
Yeah.
I can't even step out the back door butt naked anymore.
Well, thank you for your comment. Now,
And now you know why we have these lights.
Is it but if it's cameras up there, I'd like to know.
Yeah. I'm sure those are the new lights, the LED lights that were installed in the alley. Is that right?
They're kind of pinkish.
Yeah, white.
No.
No?
They're kinda
Okay, so those are the old lights.
Oh.
Those are
so
the
more
old
trash
lights,
in
the yellow.
in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Those are the yellow lights, and by the way, those are installed by the Department of Water and Power, the ones that were installed in the alley.
Yes.
It's not the ones that we install on the street. So those are different lights. But I will be more than happy to get the address and see what we can do to reduce the lighting
Because
levels
I
on
did
those.
ask them to put a shield on it, but what they did do, I think, was turned it around so that it'd be facing right into the
Right.
alley rather than along the length of the alley.
Please, let me have the address. We can look into it and see what we can do.
Okay, who should I give that information to?
Right there, Fabian, right there.
There you go. He's right behind you.
Fabian?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Marie Bryan, and I live in the Angeles Mesa area of CD8. My question has to do with the beautiful lamps that are supposed to light the pedestrian way along King Boulevard, say between Menlo and Figueroa. On the north side of the street, beautiful lamps for pedestrian lighting, but they are hidden because the trees need to be trimmed. Yes. So you have beautiful lamps, beautiful lighting for that walk for to walk and light up that area, but you've got a problem because you've got the trees.
Back to the same
So
issue.
those are beautiful lamps, and maybe with the project that Magic Johnson's group is coming up with for the new stadium when they tear down the sports arena, maybe that could be a community benefit agreement that you could get a maybe a 5 or 10 year maintenance for the tree trimming for that area out of that project.
So thank you. You're very creative. We need to have you spend some time at City Hall. So I think it's right. So two things. There is a $4 million streetscape community benefit for the soccer stadium project. So you're exactly right. The trees can get trimmed with that, and the area you're talking about is included in that. But I do think, I want to reiterate, when budget day is called and people are invited down to City Hall to advocate for specific budget items, tree trimming crews is one that we want to hear loud and clear from this community. I think it'll be all over the city, but I think sending the message in that way will be critical. And we can get more crews and we can reduce some of the time that it takes to trim trees, because this is about the fourth neighborhood that we've heard this about just tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Spindler, you have a question?
I filled out speaker cards. You're supposed to call them under the rules on your agenda.
This is a town hall meeting, Mr. Spindler, so everyone, pursuant to the rules, everyone spoke in the beginning, and then if they have a question, we do a Q&A, which gives us the opportunity to have an exchange back and forth, whereas a regular meeting, we don't have that opportunity. That's why we did it this way, so everyone would get their questions asked. So if you have a question, you're welcome to ask it. We're on the Bureau of Street Lighting issue.
You know, we don't have to be assholes, okay? You put in speaker cards. It says how to do it. So you couldn't follow your own published rules for a meeting. How can any of us here trust what you're saying to us?
If you have a question regarding street lighting, Mr. Spindler, you can ask the question.
If you can't even follow the law on how to do this meeting, how can anybody trust you that you're going to do anything worth a shit to address any of these concerns tonight?
We did follow the law regarding this meeting, Mr. Spindler. Everyone's had the fair opportunity to ask a question. Anybody that's hands have been raised has had their question, including you, has had the opportunity to ask a question.
You continue to ignore me all throughout. I raised my hand several times.
No, you haven't. When your hand went up for a question, you were called on, just as Mr. Herman was called on twice. Everyone here has had the same opportunity, Mr. Spindler. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're cherry picking your witnesses and acting like a jackass.
Everyone here has had the same opportunity to ask a question.
What's your question, Spindler? What's your question?
Everyone here has had the same opportunity. You just want to disrupt the meeting like you do every time.
When it gets time for it, the men come with the guns.
You had the
That's what
opportunity
happens. They
to
come with the
ask a
fucking
question.
guns. Yeah, stay the fuck out of it, okay? Now the question is, I filled out the fucking cards on each of these items. You're supposed to call them and give 1 or 2 minutes on each item.
This is a town hall,
That's
sir.
not what the rules say.
That gives the public the opportunity to ask a question, and we've had the exchange. We've had the exchange back and forth.
Done this before in Cypress Park.
It says at the top, town hall. It says at the top that this is a town hall, sir. It says this is a different style meeting, sir. This community had the opportunity to have a complete exchange with us back and forth. Not at all. Anyone that's had their hands raised has had the opportunity to have a question asked. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Chang, yes, ma'am. Okay. Mr. Chang, what area was phase 1?
That was citywide, throughout the city, all council districts in the city of Los Angeles.
All the modern poles.
Yes, modern Cobra Head style fixtures. Throughout the city, everywhere in the city. Specifically, CD8 had about 15,000 streetlights converted.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, agenda item number 8, an oral report on contracting and small business academy opportunities from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Mark Gutierrez. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Gutierrez. I'm with the Bureau of Contract Administration. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Business Assistance Virtual Network, or BAVN. All right, the BAVN is your one-stop shop to locate City of LA project opportunities. There's over 30 city departments. All city departments are required to post their project opportunities online on the BAVN.
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
Okay. Sure.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right. The BAVN is your one-stop shop to locate City of LA project opportunities. As I mentioned, there are over 30 city departments, and all of those departments are required to post their opportunities online on the BAVN. Right now, it's free to register and free to use, so if you're not registered, make sure you jump on there, register your business. That way you could be aware of all opportunities throughout the city. The city invested quite a large amount of money in improving the BAVN. This is the new homepage. You'll see that it's pretty straightforward. Along the top, you'll see search. Search, you can locate any specific opportunities. If you hear them word of mouth, you could search by keyword. You see the registration link. As I mentioned, it's free to register, so if you aren't registered, it's a pretty short process. Takes about 15 minutes, and it's free, so make sure to do that. Again, this is the homepage. You could filter projects by category, including commodity, construction, or personal services. By status, open will be any projects that are open to receiving bids or proposals. If you're interested in seeing who got a project, you can click on bidder selected. If a project is pending award, you can click pending award. So there's different filters there that you could use. Lastly, the type of project. City accepts requests for proposals, qualifications, bids, quotes, sole source, RFPs. So there's various filters you could use. I went on there today. There's over 110 opportunities currently out to bid. Once you figure out what project you're interested in, this is how the project's homepage looks. You should get all the information you need on the project, the budget, when bids are due, who to contact if you need more information. That's all along the right-hand side. Scroll down, you'll see prime and sub work areas. If you're a prime contractor, when you register, if a project comes out that falls under your prime work area, you'll be notified. Similarly, if you're a subcontractor, register, and you'll be notified whenever a project opportunity comes up. You'll also see information on when meetings are held, including pre-bid, pre-construction, etc. And then scrolling down, you'll see a list of documents that you could download once you're registered and logged in, including bid proposal documents, any project addendums, etc. Right, the city recognizes various certifications. Once you register, if you fall under any of these certifications, you'll appear as such online on the BAVN, and that could increase your project opportunities. The city recognizes minority business enterprises, women business enterprises, small business enterprises, emerging business enterprises, disabled veteran business enterprises, as well as local business enterprises. There's a program called the Local Business Preference Program, where if you're a local business, you can receive a preference in your bid or proposal. Last thing is the Business Inclusion Program. On the majority of our city projects where there are subcontracting or subconsulting opportunities, we have what's called a Business Inclusion Program, where we require prime contractors to outreach to minority, women, small, emerging, disabled veteran, and other business enterprises. The outreach is required, as I mentioned, on the vast majority of city-funded contracts, and prime contractors must perform that online on the BAVN. So if you're a small business, again, it's a good idea to register. That way you'll be notified by primes who are bidding on city projects. That concludes my slideshow. I was told to also mention that there's an upcoming Small Business Academy I believe in June. So that'll be posted online on the BAVN when it comes out. Make sure you're registered, and you'll be notified of the time, date, and location on that.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mark. President James,
Thank you,
real
Mr.
quick.
Yes, go ahead.
As we mentioned earlier with respect to project labor agreements and local hire, job opportunities for men and women who live in the city of Los Angeles, the city is also very committed to making sure that small businesses have an opportunity to work. So when we award these projects, we take it very seriously to make sure that we have a pretty robust outreach process. We want small businesses. We want minority and women-owned businesses. As Mr. Moore alluded to earlier with respect to the sidewalk program, one of the things that we're going to be doing, and the council member has been very, again, instrumental in this, is providing opportunities for small, we refer to them as emerging businesses. The BPW, I refer to it as the electronic marketplace. Businesses that you are aware of, you happen to be a business owner, register on BPW. Every city department, they're providing a look, if you will, into the window of contracting opportunities, no matter how big or small, through BPW. That's where you find out what's going on, and we can know that you exist so that we can have an opportunity to reach out to you. The last year, this department did a how to do business with the city, reaching out to small businesses, and we are very committed to making sure that the opportunities are there. So we encourage you again, Mark, I thank you for registering on BPW so you will know what's out there and what's available.
I wanted to add something too. The BPW program in and of itself is a nationally renowned database, and it's a tool for prime contractors to increase minority representation. Both Councilman Harris Dawson and myself are, as well as the mayor, are concerned about the underrepresentation of minorities on publicly funded construction projects. And so BPW becomes a great answer for us to increase the numbers of minorities on these publicly funded contracts. We know that these are tools in which we can empower communities. And so I'm just very proud that we have BPW, and we're going to work again very hard with the council member to make sure that when we look at contracting, that BPW is used efficiently and effectively to help us to increase the representation of minorities in these small and emerging business opportunities that the city has. And I will conclude by saying, overall, on an annual basis in the city of Los Angeles, through contract administration, we see at least $400 million of work that is let out. So this is a great opportunity given the fact that we look at our population. We are a majority Latino city, but overall we are a majority minority city. And so when we look at that, it is certainly our goal to make sure that in public contracting we can kind of reflect the taxpayers that are paying us in terms of these publicly funded contracts. And then in conclusion, I will say that there are some subspecialty areas in contracting where a lot of minorities are not. We look at environmental areas of contracting, and we don't have a lot of certified minorities. And so in fact, you can't achieve where we don't have people available. But yet, on the other hand, we have, for example, in cement contracting, a lot of minorities that have cement construction work and companies. And so therefore, that's a great opportunity. BPW tells us all of that. So I'll just leave it at that and say I look forward to working with the councilman as we continue to work on contracting.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Williams.
Mr. President, we're not sure what the rules of engagement are here or your rules of order, but some of us, I mean, we all come to work together to get things done. So we would ask that there be some mechanism that the meeting isn't hijacked and we have to listen to virulently foul language, yelling and screaming. For those of us that live in this community and have property in this community, we have security here. I'm not sure what the rules are, but if we could have more order to get things done, we would appreciate it when you come to the mic, that we don't have to hear antagonistic fighting, and we can just ask questions that can be worked on to get answers to.
Thank you, ma'am. I would just mention that it's something that we struggle with constantly. and everyone, no matter what part of the city they come from or what their issues are, have the opportunity to speak their mind in our public meetings. What we decided to do tonight was to have a town hall format, which we hadn't done previously for our community meetings, because that way the community has the opportunity to ask questions, and we have the opportunity to exchange back and forth, rather than our standard meetings, which, pursuant to the Brown Act, we technically can't respond to questions. So we wanted to open up the floor tonight, and sometimes when you do, you get the good and the not so good. So we appreciate having the exchange with the community, everyone here included, and we just do the best we can with it. So thank you, and thank you for your interest and for the community. Mr. Herman, you have a question on this item.
When contracting under this BAVN, the history of the city of Los Angeles, if you were to do an audit, the question is, how many disabled patrons have actually benefited from this program and any program that promotes BID, MOU for anyone who's disabled to participate?
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Mr. Reamer, regarding the in the PLA, the numbers given in the PLA description, disadvantage, does that include the group that Mr. Herman has asked about?
It does. The three categories, the local and the apprenticeship utilization, and then disadvantage, which we're now transitioning to a transitional job opportunities. It includes individuals that have barriers to unemployment, and not just physical barriers, but also social barriers. The department has been very committed to ensuring that we provide second chances, and we're proud of our numbers.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 2, overview of street services regarding improvements, repairs, sweeping, and tree trimming. Mr. Mose? Mr. Spinner, do you want to ask a question on this? Because your hand wasn't up before. So do you have a question on this? Go ahead, sir.
You said that that the city is minority majority. So what you're saying is that this is not going to equally apply to Latinos, it's only going to apply to Black and Asian, or it will continue to equally apply to Latinos, Blacks, and Asians, but not whites?
When I say majority, a minority majority, that means that the population in the inner city of Los Angeles, the majority of those individuals, if you did an assessment of them, happen to be of a minority culture. And that is a multi-culture when I say that. It includes Latinos. The majority of people here, as I understand it according to data, are Latinos. However, that in and of itself is not the demographics of the entirety of Los Angeles. It includes African Americans, it includes Asians, and it includes numerous other cultures. And if you add them all up together in whole, more of them are minority than they are of majority. That's what I mean by that. And most of the statisticians rule me out on that. They agree that that is the case. And not only the city of Los Angeles, but I would also add the state of California as well.
Thank you, thank you, Commissioner Davis. Mr. Mose, Street Services.
Good afternoon. Keith Mose, Street Services. Councilmember Harris Dawson, Board President. I'm with the Bureau of Street Services, here today to talk about an overview of the scope and the network of the core services that the Bureau of Street Services provides. And those core services include enforcement of the public right-of-way, the urban forestry, tree trimming, pavement preservation, and street sweeping. With the pavement preservation program, there's 28,000 lane miles of streets in the city of Los Angeles. 28,000. That's like a 10-lane highway from Los Angeles to New York that we have to pave on a day in and day out basis. This year we're paving 855 lane miles of resurfacing and 1,545 lane miles of slurry seal application, which extends the life of the roadway. That's 2,400 lane miles that are actually being done this year proactively to improve the street network. This also includes street potholes repairs that we rely on our customer relations management system under 311 to respond to over 200,000 potholes a year annually. This helps as far as with the repair of the roadways, things of that nature, and cuts down on improves customer satisfaction. Each year, the Neighborhood Council receives 2 days per year of dedicated small asphalt repairs. Those are potholes, sidewalk temps, skin patch repairs, and things like that. And neighborhood councils are notified 30 days in advance of the truck's visit. And this can be requested, and the Bureau of Street Services works with neighborhood councils on these items. Regarding tree trimming, just to give you a scope, there's 700,000 trees in the city of Los Angeles. 700,000 trees, 900 different species. And as a council member mentioned, we'd like your support in coming to budget to request more tree services to help us reduce as far as the cycle on tree trimming. And also with 311, we do respond to emergency trees down, things of that nature. And also the Bureau of Street Services does go out and pick up palm fronds in some of these areas based on 311 requests. So we do work with sanitation on those issues to address that. Also with motor sweeping, there are 896 posted routes and 390 non-posted routes in the city of Los Angeles that we sweep every single day. And we do ask for assistance. If we miss your route, please contact us and someone will contact you back to address that issue. We also do sidewalk construction, basically at the behest of the Bureau of Engineering, who manages the targeted approximately $20 million in spending this year in the 15-16 program. Yes, this year BSS crews performed approximately $3 million of this work. We also do concrete improvements for grant-funded streetscape projects such as Crenshaw Boulevard. We do concrete bus pads. We do 50 a year throughout the entire city. And we also install access ramps to be ADA compliant, over 1,000 citywide. We also do enhanced maintenance on great streets as far as repairs of tree wells, planting of trees. We do specialized motor sweeping in different areas. We do also catch basin repairs. And these are just some of the enhanced maintenance projects that we work with different council offices, particularly CD8, to do this type of work for your community. We also have upcoming technology of GPS location for our motor sweepers, so we can kind of see in real time where our sweepers actually are, so we can actually see the routes that are being done. And this is being dispatched using GPS. This also includes, we're doing the same thing for our potholes. We're actually improving as far as our response time to potholes to 48 hours using these different technologies. We also are looking at different green technologies such as cool pavements, things like that. We're also in the process of working with Bureau of Engineering to rebuild one of our asphalt plants to do 50% recycling so we can decrease the cost of our street resurfacing for hot mix asphalt. So this will actually enable us to pave more streets with recycled hot mix asphalt. And you may contact us at, I'd also say, bss.lacity.org to include My 311 through lacity.org, My LA 311. You can also reach us on Facebook, Twitter, different things like that. And just to give you guys a bit of background about myself, I grew up in the grade 8 on Arlington Avenue, and if I couldn't walk to some place, I didn't see it growing up. The only time I left CD8 was when I went to the military and I came back, and that was in the 80s, and I did notice a change. And for my community where I live, I do report potholes. I do take down illegal signs myself. I do report things on 311, and I do work with communities and local council offices to get things done because we do rely on you. We do need your help. We just can't do it all by ourselves. So we appreciate all the input that you guys give us. We're not perfect, but we're trying to improve, and that's through communication with yourself and the local council offices. And I'll go over there to take any questions.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, right here. You haven't asked a question all night. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Ellett. I'm the co-chair of Empowerment Congress West Area Neighborhood Development Council, and I'm happy that you're here. And this is in regards to the Neighborhood Council Blitz. And it's like it's been going on a while, and what happens in our neighborhood council district is that what we hear from our stakeholders when we reach out to them for pothole repairs and everything is that this isn't what they want. They find if they have potholes, they report them through 311 or the My LA 311 app. So they're on top of their potholes, and our streets are in decent condition. They're not great, but the repairs that are made, they don't last. So one heavy rain, they're gone. And they complain that they're ugly and they're messy, like the tar just tracks all over the place. So what I would like to either suggest, or maybe this is an ask, is if there's a way to trade the services that the Council Blitz provides, maybe trade those out for other services from the Bureau of Street Services. Or if there's creative ways on how to use the truck better than the way that we are doing it now, because it's a waste for us. You're going to come to our community in about a month, and we're not going to have anything for you to do, technically.
Well, I could take your information,
Okay.
and there are different services that we can provide in addition to the potholes, things of that nature. But after the meeting, I can get your information, we can contact you, and then we can actually meet you on site to discuss the type of repairs that you're actually looking for, and also to look for more permanent solutions to some of the asphalt repairs that you seek.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. In the white hat? I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Kim, that's right.
I just want to know, is somebody left, it's just somebody's cell phone, anyway. Is a depression the same thing or considered in the same way that a pothole is, a street depression? It's not a pothole, it's not broken, but it is a depression in the asphalt, that was there, the whole asphalt street that was there as a depression. So is that treated the same way as an actual pothole?
Without being too technical, yes. It's not an actual pothole. It's something wrong with the base materials below. And so what we do, put a large asphalt type repair on the roadway itself. And that's into more permanent repairs of, say, street resurfacing, or maybe there could be something like, say, underground going on that we'd have to investigate. And,
Yeah, like maybe the beginning of a sinkhole. I mean, because it is a depression,
Yeah, that typically, that's when I say something is wrong with the base, or that means there's nothing to support the roadway. That's why you're getting that depression. So that's something we can go out and look at, and if we need to, we can contact other city departments to see if there's a leak of some type, water, or sewer, anything like that, and then basically it could be permanently corrected.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Herman.
So the question for the street service people is, if you continue to patch and not actually work on the infrastructure of what the standards are under ADA, is that under alterations, under construction, if you start one end of a street that's really bad and don't finish it off at the other, are you not stealing from the federal government when they're putting money towards the conditions of that infrastructure to be repaired so that our safety and the hazards and our welfare come first? Because my mother's 83 years old and she's going to soon be in a wheelchair, and hell in no way am I going to push her across the street with a pothole, an impression, or a crack, because when she does fall, I do plan to engage a discrimination Title II against any individual who forces me to injure my elderly parent when there is no need, when it's your responsibility to repair from one end to the other and make the situation better and not by far worse.
Keith, anything on that?
I was not sure if that's a question. All streets that are resurfaced, access ramps are installed. My recommendation to you is to contact 311 to request street resurfacing or pothole repairs. And it's your right. If you seek a lawsuit, that is by all means your right.
Oh, yeah, I got that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, in the green hat. Jordan, right? Oh, Brandon Fuller. Yes. Okay. I'm working my testing names. Go ahead, sir.
Good. Just about, I'm a cyclist, and I noticed you guys have bike path cleaning, and I ride along Exposition a lot, and it's a lot of glass and just trash in the bike lane, and me with skinny tires, you can't really go through that as much. I'd like to know if you have like a program for cleaning bike paths in LA instead of Reseda as well.
You can request special cleaning if needed.
Can we get a new machine, Keith, on that? We got a smaller.
Well, that's with the restricted bike corral, to where
Okay.
it's like the width of the lane is actually less than 10 feet. But on Exposition Boulevard, there are no restrictions, where we
Okay.
can just go with the regular motor sweeper through there.
Okay.
So through 311, you can request special cleaning for
For
that.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Spindler, and then this lady here, and then you, sir.
I drove down Wilshire Boulevard from Vermont to La Cienega, westbound, and about every quarter mile, you keep hitting this thing, and it breaks the car apart. And this has been going on for like 10 years. When are you guys going to go onto Wilshire Boulevard and fix Wilshire Boulevard? It's a disgrace. It's been like this forever. Tom LaBonge, when he was a councilman, didn't do anything about it. It's a disaster area when you drive through there. You can't drive through there without breaking a car apart. When are you going to go in there and actually resurface and fix Wilshire Boulevard?
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. You want to talk about what they're doing on Wilshire Boulevard?
Yeah, Wilshire Boulevard, there were portions of Wilshire Boulevard that actually repaired under the BRT program.
The Bus Rapid Transit.
Thank you. That's from Fairfax to Western, done under contract. Under Tom LeBon's, we did go on and effect repairs in that area. But if you have a specific location, please, again, contact 311 and let us know and put in an official request.
Yes, ma'am.
Once again, thank you. Talk about street resurfacing. I'm back to this same property, this particular property. Once again, I'm coming up on 40 years having this property right here. And I have seen every block around me, the street has been resurfaced. The last time that they came through on the other end of the block, across the other street, was I know before 2009, and the reason why I know that is because I had a gas leak that killed my plants. And so therefore, they had to drill into the street. It was in the street. That was in 2009. I have yet to have our block resurfaced. Can someone tell me why? Over west of West Boulevard, another property over there, it's like clockwork. They don't care if there's a hole or anything else. Over there, they come every 5 to 7 years and resurface the streets. Neighbors don't even know they coming.
Well, I'd have to take your information to get your specific address.
Slurry seal versus an F street.
Yes.
And I'm using the drilling of the street
Yes.
from the gas company to determine how long it's going to be before they come through. With the writing and all.
Right.
Okay.
Like I said, basically I have to get your specific address to determine what's actually going on in that particular street.
Okay.
But just when I mentioned we do 2,400 lane miles this year, that's only 4% of the street network itself.
Mhm.
And so when you say that your street hasn't been resurfaced or slurry sealed in a long time, I believe you. There are streets that have been resurfaced in 40 years.
But they go down on the other side.
Right, but
You know.
there's different reasons, varying factors of utility holds, funding, things of that nature that we have to work through. And we basically, it's not myself per se, we use a computerized micropaver system that determines where that selects the streets for us. And we do it equitably over the entire street network for the entire city of Los Angeles. And so it's not that we're ignoring a particular area or region, it's just that there are varying factors beyond our control that basically we have to contend with. And we are working with Bureau of Engineering and other departments to basically streamline utility hold requests, things like that, so we can come up with better comprehensive plans working with the council offices and things of that nature. But just to, say about your street right now, I couldn't tell you at this exact moment.
Well, maybe I could take the light that's behind my yard with the animals, and
We can
maybe
look-
I could get some funding then.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi. My name is Gustavo Trujillo, just so you can remember.
Mr. Trujillo, go ahead, sir.
I'm not sure if you guys have touched on this, but I have an alley where I live, and we use it to get to the parking structure of my apartment complex. And this alleyway is not paved at all. It's dirt, rocks, bricks, and constantly gets illegal dumping. So we've filed reports for this problem, and are wondering if it falls under street resurfacing, or how can we properly report it so that the problem gets taken care of? Because all the cars, all the neighbors have, problems with this alley. Their suspensions are taking a toll, and it's day in and day out. We have to drive through it constantly. So I'm just wondering, how can I report it so that it gets taken care of immediately, because it is a huge problem.
Again, I can take your information afterwards, but if you have a dirt alley, years ago we identified several miles of streets that were dirt, or rather alleyways that are dirt, that have drainage, property line issues that we cannot resolve without the alleyway being engineered. And so alleyways typically require extensive reconstruction, things of that nature. When we're talking about moving walls, posts, fences, and putting in different things to capture water. And with these alleyways, unfortunately, at this time, the only thing we can do at this moment is make them smooth and passable by smoothing or things of that nature.
It's interesting because on the same block there are alleys that are paved. So I'm wondering, and I'm 25, so in 25 years there hasn't been an alley paved in my block. So the alleys that are paved exceed 25 years. That's why I'm just wondering how that works.
Unfortunately, we have limited funding to pave alleys, which we haven't received this year. And then we only did about 3 lane miles a given year to do alleys over the entire city. And so alleys aren't part of the normal street network. There's 800 miles of alleys within the city of Los Angeles. And also, with that being said, the alleys are unimproved, meaning they require, like I say, extensive reconstruction, things of that nature. And when they're dirt, that complicates it even more, because now there are no improvements done to that alley to account for drainage, to account for driveways, the heavy vehicles that pass through there. And so, as I mentioned, the only thing we can do is just make them smooth and passable. When we do get funding, when I say 3 lane miles, over 800 center line miles rather, that's not a lot, unfortunately.
All right. Okay, so I can go over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. Councilmember, we've gotten through the agenda. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. President and the Board of Public Works. I just want to take a minute to thank everybody in the room tonight and let all the departments know and the commissioners. This is completely representative of our part of the city, South LA and District 8 in particular. You saw seniors, middle-aged people, and young people carrying on the tradition of fighting for the kind of community that we deserve. And even after 25 years of seeing some of the same stuff continuing to show up and press and believe in the kind of Los Angeles that we all can live. So again, thank you all. None of you have to be here after hours, and public sector workers don't get nearly enough credit for caring so much about what they do and wanting to be able to go home and say a good job was done. So again, thank you all on behalf of our community, and thank you again to the commissioners.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
I want to also echo the words of our council member and to say that we look forward to increasing the service delivery, specifically in the 8th District. I'm very proud to be here with those in the city who have headed up and provided leadership in public works. Why? Because this is not the only part of South Los Angeles that has had Herculean challenges. In fact, in the 9th District, we had alleys that would make yours look like Burbank. But sanitation has already, if you go through that district, shown the ability to manage efficiently and effectively the cleanup in that area. I could give a dissertation on communication and how important it is. Even in the police department, they can't keep crime down if you don't call and tell them. They don't know what's going on in every block, because they don't go out at 2 and 3 in the morning unless you call in. Needless to say, I'm confident that as a result of the feedback that you have given us, and I've always been told that there's so much work that we need to do in the 8th District in terms of alley cleanup as well. But I do have confidence based upon history and work performance, not based upon conversation. Sanitation has done that. So where do we go from here? We work with Councilman Harris Dawson's staff to develop the same kind of plan we developed in the 9th District to help clean up alleys. That's where we go from here. And so to increase service delivery in every area of service that the Public Works Department provides, we will do as we do every day. But it does not just simply take a policy idea, it takes a plan and the implementation of the plan that we set out. And I'm confident again, and in conclusion, based upon what we have done in other areas of South LA, that we will do it here. And you're right, we deserve the same level of service that we give in any other area of Los Angeles. Finally, I will say that what we have this year is something that we have not had before. Now, some of these alleys didn't happen in 1 year or 2 years. They were in disrepair for many years. Eric Garcetti was not the mayor many years, and I'm not pointing fingers, but what I'm saying is this. What we have this year, we didn't have in years before, and that is he has dedicated $9 million to a Clean Streets program, and the people who should have the $9 million are those in the areas like us, and there are several other similar areas in the city. So that becomes critically important if we are to catch up and to achieve the goal that we're going to set for ourselves in the plan with the councilman's office. And so I thank you for coming, and I look forward to rolling up my sleeves, and I know that the councilman is going to make sure that I do the work that I need to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. And in adjourning our town hall this evening, I would like to thank all of you for being here, of course, and taking the time out of your busy schedules. And I would like to say thank you to the council member and to his staff. He's got a great team of folks that work with him. Yes, we work with them every day, and it's great to see the difference that their office is making for our city. Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.